The following program is hosted by immature, irreverent, obnoxious, and often disgusting young men. Listener discretion is advised.
Oh, this time on Nude Clan, we're going to be talking Zelda, the boy who lived. What?
Shall we play a game?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Nude Clan. I am Joe.
I'm Caleb Craig.
Kiss is Cameron. And Caleb Schweiss.
Kiss is Cameron.
Yeah, Kiss is Cameron. That's a weird way to introduce yourself, Cameron. I know. That's a terrible Cameron impersonation. Cameron is not with us today. He has
Not that
on.
anyone would have noticed.
Yeah. Jeez. Something, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but fuck it, he's not here. So
He says he's sick.
not feeling well,
So
you know, if you could believe it.
it's not like he had. Here's the
Camspiracy.
Craig has been all day going. Well, he says he's lost his voice. I'm like, what makes you think he? Why would he lie about that?
Monster Hunter.
Well, he's not playing Digimon, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I told him, if he's going to miss the show, he's got to play that Digimon. I've been checking the PlayStation app. I know what he's doing.
Here's
he
the
isn't
thing.
playing Digimon.
No, that's exactly what he's doing. He decided that today, he's like, I like Digimon so much that I can't be bothered by the podcast this week. I'm not part of the review.
No, see, because he's on, though.
When you're not on the review, you're not really doing a whole lot. You're kind of just sitting here beating off. And Cameron, other than, instead of beating off, decided that I'm just going to stay home and play Digimon.
Yeah, we are reviewing today The Legend of Zelda.
Yep.
Hacker's Memory.
Hacker's Memory. And we both beat this game a while ago.
Oh, why?
Because, well, I guess we read the calendar wrong.
It was like 2 months ago for me, I think, I feel.
That's probably my fault. But it doesn't matter. We both beat it on time, ready to go.
Yeah.
So ready to talk about this this old classic that I had never beaten. I'd gotten up to like the 5th dungeon before, but I'd never beaten before. So I'm excited to talk about it with or without Cameron.
Not that he would have had anything to add.
Yeah. But yeah, I believe Cameron's story. I do.
Oh, I'm sure he's not feeling okay. Just making excuses. He's got 2 weeks to beat Digimon, and just like all of a sudden, he's like, "Oh, I can't do it."
We need to have like attendance stats and stuff like that. So it's kind of like Congress, you can like look online and see how many times they've been like present.
I got that Geek Entertainment wiki just ready to go in case anybody wants to get all nerdy with the stats. It's a good place to do some editing there.
We need to go back through and I'll listen to all the episodes at work and see like, okay, who was late? Like, what's your tardiness ratio to like on time?
I'm fairly certain Camcam has missed more than anybody.
Well, he's missed more, but who's been the most delaying of games? I'm pretty sure that's been Joe.
Yeah,
it's
I've
Joe.
Delayed.
Camcam has delayed a couple times.
No,
but
Cameron has delayed in with me before.
Yeah, Cameron,
but he also did delay one. Okay, wait.
No, I don't think he did. By himself, he's never delayed one. I think he's right about that.
Okay, he caused Schweiss to be delayed.
on Metroid.
Yeah, on Metroid. Because he took forever to beat it, and then like it was your turn to play.
I still don't think that counts.
I think that's my fault.
It's douchey, but it doesn't count.
Yeah, but when you're sharing a game and you take your sweet ass time.
And you take your
that game is longer than it seems, also. So I don't necessarily blame Cameron, and he had a harder time at the end than I did.
I could have sworn he delayed a different one though.
Can we talk about 2 great movies that came out in the last 2 weeks?
2 movies I haven't seen.
Well,
2
did you
movies
watch Black
haven't seen.
Panther?
Yeah, I watched Black Panther.
It's good, huh?
It's fantastic. I can't think of a better, as far as story goes and character goes, I can't think of a better Marvel movie. There are funnier Marvel movies. This is not really a funny movie.
There are more action-packed Marvel movies.
And there
too.
are movies with better action in the Marvel movies. I mean, I guess the action is probably the worst part of this movie because it's just very like bland and CG, whatever. But there's not like a ton of it either.
There are a couple times the CG looks like ass. Too.
Yeah,
there
does.
are a couple of moments where I'm like,
But
that
I will
is-
say the same thing of Thor Ragnarok, where the CG, there's like green screen that is real bad.
I
in
didn't
some
notice
parts of
anything
Thor
in Thor,
Ragnarok.
but I don't doubt it. I'm not refuting it.
But, you know, as far as Marvel movies go, I'll tell you what, I honestly think it's their best like story. It's their best movie.
Yeah, they made a
so
real
far.
movie. It's not just a Marvel movie.
So I was very happy with my experience going to see Black Panther. I'm like, you know what? That was great.
Well, that's good considering how much I know you like Guardians of the Galaxy.
It still smells. It still smells of Marvel stink, but it doesn't stink of it like every other movie they put out.
Okay. There's
Like it
just
still
a
has
little
that
whiff.
scent. Yeah, I'm just like, it's rich, and then there's like that tiny little sliver of ass that just sneaks in, but it's barely there.
Yeah.
And they do have, and I was thinking about it. I was like, that was kind of different than all the others. And then a little bit later, I was like, yes and no. Like, yes, it's still an origin story, but it's done differently.
The difference is that
It's not. Wait, is it an origin story? Because he had his
It's-
origin in.
It's more of an origin of his land. I
No,
would say.
he's an origin. It's an origin story. He's not the Black Panther until
He was Black
he
Panther.
becomes the Black Panther at the end of the first act.
He was the Black Panther in.
His father is the Black
Civil
Panther.
War, though.
For that. Or is he? What does he? Oh, he becomes the king. I'm sorry. Yeah.
His father, I think, was the Black Panther in Civil War. No, maybe it was. Maybe it was
He
him.
was,
No,
and then he
him.
dies, and then he becomes Black Panther in Civil War.
Yeah, so it was his daddy before.
Either
And
way.
now it's him. Yeah,
Great
so
movie.
it is an origin story. It is the same Marvel movie, but it's just I think it's done better, and I do think it is. I think it is more of a movie than it is a Marvel movie.
So
enjoyable.
I was very happy with my experience at Black Panther, and I just saw yesterday Annihilation, which is fucking fantastic.
Mortal Kombat Annihilation?
No, just Annihilation, starring Natalie Portman. It's written and directed by the guy who did Ex Machina.
Yeah, I saw that, and
And
I was
it's
like,
that
oh, I wanna
kind
see
of
it.
like creepy sci-fi thing. It's like The Thing meets like a Tarkovsky movie like Solaris or Stalker, where things are not what they seem, time is messed with, and then it gets fucking weird. But at the same time, it's like it's fucking great. I thought Annihilation is so far of the 2 movies I've seen from 2018 in 2018 movie of the year. In February, mid-February.
Some high praise.
I did watch Phantom Thread, so I'm done with the Best Picture nominees
Of
2017. Yeah,
But have you hit the Best Picture nominee of 2018 called Annihilation?
no, I doubt it'll be a Best Picture nominee.
I do too. It makes me sad.
It'll be probably
Ex
nominated.
Machina should have been a Best Picture nominee, and it wasn't.
What year was that? Was that last year? Or
That was the year before. Yeah.
It should have been.
Yeah.
There are some stupid ones that always make it in, and I'm like,
I don't think it's stupid, no. I still don't think Brooklyn should have been nominated, but
Brooklyn and I know you hate me for saying it, but Room.
I think
or
you're
The Room.
absolutely fucking wrong.
They're
when
the
you say
weakest
Room.
two.
Okay, Room was amazing, dude.
They're the
Room is an
weakest-
amazing movie.
They're the weakest two. It's
Absolutely
still a great
disagree.
movie. Though.
I think Room was my pick for the Best Picture. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
The guy who kidnapped her looks like the guitarist from Godsmack. I can't be intimidated by that. I just
does that
can't.
have to do
I
with
can't. It
anything?
pulls you out of the moment. It pulls you. You know,
it pulls you out.
Yeah, apparently it pulls you
the guy
out of
should
it.
have come down the stairs just playing a bunch of chords. You know, like simple chords. You ready to get smashed?
God damn it, dude. That's gross. Anyway, I recommend just go do a double feature. Go watch Black Panther, then go watch Annihilation.
I kind of wish I was doing the movie league thing because like there's some great movies coming out, and like I'm like, oh man, I want to get back into that.
I think Annihilation has been annihilated at the box office already. And it makes me real sad, and so I'm kind of like double like, please God, go out and see this movie because it's fucking awesome.
yeah,
Especially if you like sci-fi movies or horror movies. Like, really, it's just great. I highly recommend it, Craig.
I will
And Black
probably go
Panther's
see it.
Black Panther's good too. But
Yeah.
I watched Black Panther and was like, yeah, that was great. And then I saw Annihilation. I'm like, this is the movie of the week. This is the movie everyone needs to go see. So, 2 great movies just came out in springtime, or February, which is usually like February through the beginning of May. That's kind of like the dead time for movies. That's the time when most studios put out movies that they don't think is going to make a bunch of money. That's
And
real.
yet Black Panther.
That's true.
Marvel does whatever they want, though.
Yeah,
Marvel is making money all
that
year.
has been since 300 came out like 10 years ago. They have been like slowly sprinkling in more spring movies, seeing what kind of hits and what
Yeah.
doesn't. Like Alice in Wonderland was a big spring movie.
Marvel does one every like 3 months. That's what they do forever. And then
someday they'll sink, but not when they get.
They're
Black
going to
Panther
reboot
coming
the
out.
whole universe. They're going to
Yeah.
reboot it all once it's all done.
Can they give us like a 2-year break?
Isn't that ridiculous? Didn't they say that recently, Craig? They're going to reboot
Yeah, they're
the
gonna
whole
reboot the whole
thing.
thing.
Yeah, there was.
I'm just like, Jesus
they did
Christ,
talk
you're going to
about
go
that.
in there again? Like, again, you're going to do
Well,
it all.
this one, the in the reboot universe, I imagine
They'll have
probably-
X-Men.
Yeah, I imagine that they'll like include the X-Men and stuff for.
So we won't just get the same movies.
but there probably will be like a second Civil War movie, which will have the X-Men in
that's the second Civil War movie is going to be the end, I think. Or the Infinity War. Isn't that going to be the last one?
it. Infinity Wars against Thanos. Yeah, it's gonna be the last.
Isn't
one.
that in like a few years?
It's probably gonna be a multi-part.
I thought it was a Infinity War 4 Part 1 and Part 2.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna be like multiple parts.
They're going
to
to pull
it.
a Harry Potter on it. So, and I'm pretty sure they are going to reboot the whole thing, yeah. At some point. A couple years down. How do you feel?
It's too much, man.
It is too much
They're gonna
for
get
me
like
as
a
well.
5th actor to play Spider-Man.
I'm already behind. Like, I'm already behind, and they're going to do it again. Of course, now I have Movie Pass.
I thought about it. I think there's only 4 I haven't seen.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of the Captain America movies.
That's me too. I haven't seen all 3 of those, and then I haven't seen the second Avengers movie.
I haven't seen that one either.
So, but it does. I mean, like,
But I also never saw Ant-Man. I never saw Spider-Man
Oh,
Homecoming.
shit,
Dude, Ant-Man
Ant-Man
is a
and
good
Spider-Man.
one.
That's right.
Ant-Man.
Okay,
is,
I'm behind by 6.
Ant-Man is one of the top ones.
I think I'm behind by... No, I'm behind by 8 because I haven't seen either Guardians movie.
Oh,
haven't
those are
seen-
great.
Oh, wow,
Yeah,
you're missing out.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just
I
just
highly
need to-
recommend both
I
those
need to
movies.
catch up. It's the problem. I need to...
Like, no wonder you have like such a shit opinion of Marvel. You haven't seen like the real.
But guys, Marvel is going to make plenty of money. Go see Annihilation. This is going to be a sci-fi classic. Apparently, it's going to be a cult classic because this fucking movie like bombed.
Oh, Roxo says Doctor Strange is decent.
Doctor Strange is a good
Doctor
one.
Strange is good. It's
It's-
not as good as Black
It's
Panther.
Marvel. It's like cookie cutter Marvel, though.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange is the perfect example of a Marvel movie. It's good, though.
Yeah,
Special effects are better than in
Doctor
Black
Strange is
Panther.
basically
Yes.
like another Iron Man.
Yeah, but
So-
that is exactly what it is. And you know what's not? The fucking Hulk movie. It's awful. It's
Well,
terrible.
which Hulk movie? The
Both.
Incredible Hulk.
It doesn't matter. It's just Hulk. They're bad. He's just
yeah,
a
the
bad-
Hulk movies are bad, but one is really bad, and I haven't seen the other one.
Wait, which one have you not seen?
He hasn't seen
I haven't
the
seen the-
Marvel Studios one.
Oh,
The
really?
one that like kicked off the universe. Yeah,
It's not good, Caleb.
I believe it.
It's. I might actually think it's worse than the older one.
Wow,
I
really?
don't know. They're both bad, but one of them is really good for like a part of it, and the other one's just mediocre the entire time. So I'm trying to figure out like
I think the first act of that first Hulk movie is pretty darn good, Craig. I'm not even
I
kidding.
agree with that. Yeah,
The part where it's all like crazy and it's a horror movie and it's got like the up until the dogs.
Up until
I think that
until the Hulk shows up, it's good.
up until the dogs, I think it's pretty great. And then it kind of is not great.
The Marvel one is just not great the whole time.
But I
though.
do. That is like one of my favorite living directors, Zhang Li. So I don't know if it's just something about his kind of like
his style.
his style that I really like. But I do like the first.
The
half of that movie.
direction of the movie is okay, but the fucking rest of
it's
the movie.
more than
So is anybody else here? And I know I'm probably the minority here, but is anybody else like? I don't know. I've been watching a lot of these Marvel. Last year I watched a decent amount of Marvel movies. Probably not as much as the rest of the world, but because I missed a few that came out in theaters. But like I'm just getting kind of like I'm getting kind of burned out with the Stan Lee like showing up every time. Like,
when that happened in Black Panther, I was like, God damn it!
I'm like, come on! Like
Stan
I forgot.
Lee is an actual character. They have announced that.
I don't care, but it's
He's
just
the Watcher.
It's excessive, Galen. He was playing like craps or poker.
It was fine when it was in like the first Spider-Man. They're like, did you know that was the guy who wrote the comic? But now it is like
it's the thing, and it's like it's
an
eye roll every time.
It's because now they made him a character.
It's half a star chunked off of my rating.
Well, if he's a character, then that makes the Ang Lee one canon. Because he's in it.
It is canon.
In a way,
It is canon because the second movie starts out after the first one because he goes into exile.
It's in
oh my
another
God,
universe.
is it actually canon?
I don't know if it's technically canon, but the story he's in South America. Remember when he leaves? He runs away at the end of the first Hulk movie. That's where the fucking new one starts.
The girl is different.
The girl is different, and the old man is different because the actor in the original one is a badass, and the new actor is like a weird fan fiction version of that guy.
What?
The dude, he's like in a
Did you
shitload
just
of
call
Western.
Eric Bana a badass?
No, not
Okay.
Bana.
Wait, have you seen Munich, Craig?
Even in that, I don't know if I'd ever call him.
He's not a badass. Yeah, if I were to say he's a badass in anything, it'd probably be Troy. And that's because everybody is a badass except for Orlando Bloom in that movie. Orlando Bloom just pisses me off.
I haven't seen
Fucking
Troy.
Orlando Bloom in that. Such a pansy. But yeah, that's how the fucking whole movie starts out. So I'm like,
Thank you.
this is kind of weird. It's kind of weird because like he's there and like it's sort of canonish, but I bet you they just throw it away. I'm sure, like, and it didn't really matter. So like it's one of those things where like whether or not it's canon doesn't really make a difference. So it's funky.
Thanks again.
But yeah, I agree though. I think Black Panther is pretty solid.
Yeah, Black Panther's pretty great. Go see Annihilation though, and then go see Black Panther.
All right.
I'll say that to you, Craig. Go see Annihilation.
And then go see a movie that's supposed to be worse.
There's 2 scenes in Annihilation at least that will make you go like, holy shit. Like that kind of like, what the fuck? In a good way. That's exactly what you'll say. Because that's what everybody in the fucking audience will say. There was one girl, because it's kind of a slow burn movie up until halfway through, that was like, I'm bored. And then I heard her scream in one part of the movie. So anyway, like...
There was an old couple next to me for
This is boring.
for Phantom Thread, and I gotta say, old people at movies, you should just go.
Wait,
fuck
which
yourselves.
is worse, teenagers or old people?
Old people.
You think old people are worse?
Because they
than
should
teenagers?
know respect.
Teenagers fucking tap their feet like fucking crazy.
Teenagers.
And the sideways look isn't enough for them. You actually have to tell them to shut up.
Yeah,
I have
they don't get it.
freaked out at when we went and saw Revenant. Like those kids behind me, I was gonna kill them, man. It's like, shut the fuck up! Like, shut up! Just stop! This movie's awesome. Shut up! But it was this old guy and this old lady, and like you're elderly. You should know the meaning of respect, but you don't. You just keep fucking chatting. I'm like, this isn't a loud movie. I can hear you. Like, just shut the fuck up, man. I hate it. I hate it when people talk in movies. And
Did you tell them to shut up?
No, I didn't tell him. It wasn't too bad. It was enough that I was like, a couple times.
I always do. I wait about 5 minutes and then I
should just
now.
like tap him on the shoulder and be like, hey, excuse me, can you shut the fuck up, please?
You don't have to do the shut the fuck up thing.
Oh no, he will.
You can say, hey,
he
be
has
quiet,
to
please.
include a
I
fuck in
bought a
every
ticket.
sentence.
I bought a ticket to this movie, and I didn't buy a ticket to hear your shitty conversation, and I really would just rather not hear that. And
What really bugs
just
me
hear the
is
movie
people
instead.
who do pull out their phones despite being warned 17 times during the fucking trailers to please turn off your phones.
Shut off your cell phones now.
Please.
Oh, yeah.
Turn them off now.
Yeah, and it's I don't understand it. I'm like, why would you come
Are
to a movie?
you fucking retarded? Is that what that is? Yeah, why would you come to a movie to text?
to text or to talk? Like, just talk elsewhere. Occasional, like, oh hey, it's that one person from this movie. Like, that's fine. But like full on conversations, like, get the fuck out of here.
Anyway, I just wish teenagers would just stay in the back row, please God. I went to a movie once with someone, and they were like, "Well, let's go in the back." I'm like, "That's where teenagers go to make out." That's what I said.
Yeah.
And I will stand by that. Teenagers, you're welcome to the movie. Don't talk too loud. Please go way in the back.
Old people don't show up. If it's a sci-fi movie, especially. God, they're
happening?
And the woman, and I hate to be sexist here, but the old lady is the worst. They're like, Johnny, what's going on here? I'm like, Johnny doesn't know. It's opening night. Johnny doesn't know. Joe doesn't know. Harold doesn't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. No one's seen it. Shut the fuck up. Just figure it out. That's why it's
like
a
everybody
movie.
else is. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen. No one's saying it because we're not assholes. So please just stop.
I had a moment the other day with an old lady. Sorry, this is where I'm going to get just slightly sexist here. Someone got a package from somewhere, and he had to sign for it. It was this old guy, and a voice came in from, and he's like, "Hey, we got 2 of them. Do you have the other one?" I'm like, "Sorry, I don't have it." He's like, "Okay." So he starts signing the thing. Old lady from across the room goes, "We ordered 2 of them," and he's like, "He doesn't have it." He's like, "Where is it?" And then he goes, "He doesn't know." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's true. I don't know." And she's like, "Well, where is it?" She asked the same fucking question again in a different way. And I go, "I'm sorry. I get packages and I take them to the house. I have no way of knowing where the other one is."
Like, what do you think I am here? Do you think I come from like the place that you
She asked
ordered?
again, and the other guy had to keep basically like defending me for not knowing. Like, he doesn't know. It's like, okay, people who think that somehow your delivery man knows everything about your package besides where the fuck your address is and where to put the box that's in his truck, you're a fucking moron. And it's like, this is what I realized. It's like, older generation, I'm guessing here, guys, I am generalizing here. I'm guessing that this 75-year-old woman probably never worked anywhere. At least anywhere where it was like physical and you have to get this thing to this thing, sort of a crappy sort of a job thing. And so I guess there's just not a recognition that sometimes you just do your job and you just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
There's no recognition that you don't know, that you're not some omnipresent force who knows everything about.
You're just like, hang on. Oh yeah, it's in Florida. It got missent. Sorry.
Yeah.
That we're not like
it'll be delivered tomorrow.
We're not like within the Matrix where we could just access every piece of information and
like,
find
I
where
know
your shit is.
as a human being, when someone says they don't know, that's it. That's the end of the conversation.
Yeah, it's like, that sucks, but yeah, fuck it. Okay.
Then the next part of the conversation might be: is there anyone to ask? And in which case, if they say no, which I would have in that situation, that's also the next spot where it could end. There's 2 ends of the conversation there. So that was an interesting old lady, old man moment for me.
Yeah.
So the guy was like, "He doesn't know, Marcia," or whatever the fuck her name was.
Just shut up.
Just shut the fuck up for what?
The man doesn't know. I don't know when Godzilla's showing up. Just watch the fucking movie. Just watch it.
Dude, I fucking remember that.
Yeah, that's the one that comes to mind. I'm like,
fucking, that old lady, where's the monster?
Yeah, I'm like, Jesus, lady, he doesn't know. This is day 1. No one knows. No one but the director knows.
Have you seen a Godzilla movie before? He doesn't usually show up to like halfway.
That is not true. That's what makes him so garbage. Is he shows up instantly most of the time.
Well, in some,
and that's why they're bad.
But in the better ones,
the first
he doesn't
one
show
though,
up till later.
Wait, does he show up early on the first one? No, you don't see him, do you? Yeah,
because
it's set up
about 45 minutes in.
Yeah. So the good ones, you're right. The good ones, you
Yeah,
don't
the good
see him
ones, he doesn't-
immediately.
yeah, he doesn't
the
come
bad
up till
ones,
later.
he's stock footage and playing, and there's a mini version of him that looks like an actual shit.
That's true.
Those
That's
are the
all
bad
true.
ones.
GodzillaPodcast.com.
Yes, check it out. Yeah.
All right.
Fucking
Sorry. I had to talk about movies. I knew someone was going to ask us about Black Panther.
Craig, you got to get that movie pass, dude. They're putting a Cinemark in a brand new one in Spanish Fork, I think.
There's one in Payson.
Is there one in Payson?
Yeah.
Is it new?
You can drive up the street and go, yeah, it's pretty new.
Okay, because I remember
Payson?
someone
No,
was
it's in
telling me...
Oh, there is a one. There's Stadium Cinemas.
Someone's telling me there's a brand new Cinemark going in
There
either
is.
Payson or
There is one going
Spanish.
in Spanish, yep.
Okay. Caleb, get the movie pass.
Yeah,
I'm
that
telling
would
you.
require him to move.
Your life is... You don't even have to move. You just go online.
He's afraid of he can't walk anywhere. Also, he can't drive anywhere. He must be driven.
That's not true.
Go get your mom and sister to get the movie pass because your mom watches movies, right? You're a normal person who
not
watches
really.
movies. Okay, well, make her watch movies and you can both go. You go with your mom.
I go with my mom to
Great.
movies
Yeah,
all
see?
the time.
She just doesn't go. It's weird.
That's why you make her go.
They just rent movies from Redbox. Like,
Yeah,
fuck.
they're couch people.
You know what? That's what you do until you find out about Movie Pass, and then you don't use Redbox ever again because you see everything you've
This
ever wanted to
podcast
see.
brought to you by.
You see everything you've ever wanted to see in the theaters for very little to nothing.
Oh my god! Yeah, I have seen every movie I wanted to see so far. Honestly, this week I want to see Game Night and what is that other movie coming out? Early Man. I want to see both of those.
I need to see Early Man, and I need to see the Clint Eastwood one.
Oh, you're gonna see that?
Yeah, I'm going to see it.
Why?
It's a Clint Eastwood movie, man.
I saw that trailer was bad enough. Are you kidding me? You're gonna go see the movie?
sad thing is, and it's spoiled to me. I know it's going to happen because they're like, oh, the people that took part in it are in the movie. I'm like, oh, thanks.
so they don't die.
Yeah, like I guess they're not dead if it's based on a true
Unless there's
story.
like one guy who's like a good actor for a moment.
Like, hey, that guy died.
That guy dies.
Yeah, all the bad guys died, and there were like five.
The least
actors.
actor-friendly director who only does two takes max. That guy,
probably not the best
is
project.
the guy who directs the actual people who. Oof.
Yeah, because like Sully, pretty good. Not great, but pretty good. But it
Pretty
also
good,
had
yeah.
Aaron
I enjoyed
Eckhart
myself.
and Tom Hanks, who don't
Yeah.
need any help to do
It's true.
what they need to do. But the trailer is fucking bad. Like I didn't know what I was watching.
I also
at
saw the
first.
trailer 19,000 times because I saw all those Best Picture nominees and it was in front of
every single
all
one.
of
Yeah,
them.
every single one, and they're just bad. I'm like, is this like a behind the scenes thing? No, it's them in the movie.
So I feel bad for the real dudes who are now embarrassed by their acting performances in this movie. Real heroes.
Real here, yes, they've done good
have
things
now been put into this movie. Oh my god!
by a big director. It's bad, yeah,
And they
no
totally
one said.
weren't going to be the casting for that. And then Clint Eastwood was like, "Let's just get the real guy.
Yeah,
I don't want to find actors.
I hate actors.
I hate actors."
They're just gonna bitch about trouble today. I can't have them going on.
All right, we
protest
actually have
walk.
to ask the question: what has everyone been playing?
I got
that's
a
right.
protest walks on the set.
Well, for me, it's just been Dragon Quest and Monster Hunter World this week.
Light week.
Yeah.
Light week for me too. I'll be honest, I didn't play anything. What have you been playing, Schweiss?
I played a little bit of. I think I played. I played some Digimon Cyber Sleuth.
Just a bit.
Not much. Not
Cyber
much.
Slit.
Did you stream it at all this week? I didn't
Yeah.
see.
I streamed it. You were there.
Was
Remember when
I?
I turned Ape Man into Shitmon?
Okay, yeah. I thought that
I
was last
streamed
week
for a
some
couple
reason.
hours. That's about it, though. And I get home from work and I just sleep, and then I wake up and I go back.
I understand.
And my days off are fucked because my boss is a piece of shit. So that's going to be hard. And played some Final Fantasy Tactics Advance 2. I've been trying to do every optional mission in that game just to kind of get me ready as far as the leveling and the abilities and grinding out the jobs go. And you've heard us bitch about the job grind.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But you just have to like do optional quests to get weird items to then sell to the bazaar, and like you combine them with other items and it allows you to then unlock. It's kind of a cool system, but it's kind of frustrating at the same time because you don't know what it takes to unlock certain weapons and you don't know what weapons give you certain abilities. So like I can't get my ninja class because I just don't know what I need to make for the ninja. So I'm doing every optional quest, which makes the mainline story pretty.
Are there like no
much a
guides
breeze.
for you guys to look this up?
There's not that much info.
They're not great.
It's light, kind of lighter than the first game actually, which is surprising. But I still think the game is fun and it's fast and I enjoy it. It's just long, and I'm kind of making it longer by trying to get all these abilities taken care of. So,
Well, we know what everyone has been playing, but did anybody beat a game?
Nope.
oh no,
Nope.
Dude, it's going to be a dry couple of weeks.
Second week in a row, huh?
this is going to be a dry
Oh yeah,
season.
and the winner of last week's poll of all the Nintendo games that Dylan put out. What the hell happened midway through the week? I put the poll up. Second day, it was like Zelda was like fucking killing it. Link to the Past, and then suddenly, I look yesterday, and fucking Paper Mario won a 1,000-year door. Paper Mario. So that's and I was told this was another 30-hour RPG.
Yeah, it is.
Can we stop nominating RPGs just on the show just for a few months? Please.
I don't
It
think
depends.
that's going to happen. Forced entries, they're gonna do it.
Four
Well,
centuries
does-
aside.
Unless there's like an RPG I actually want to play, there's no need to nominate.
We're playing so many fucking RPGs right now.
I, don't know,
This'll
I got
be-
like fucking 3 going on right now.
This will be 3 for us too,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then Digimon. But although
Digimon,
it'd be,
Cyber
it'd be
Slot.
4 for you, Schweiss, because we got that Nocturne.
I'm not going to start that with this in my way. Are you kidding me? I can't.
You said after Digimon. You're
Yeah,
gonna say
I didn't
Nocturne.
think this would happen. I didn't expect to be blindsided and fucking
Well,
destroyed
you
by
did because
Dylan.
you knew it was there.
I knew it was there, but it was getting butt fucked by Zelda Link to the Past.
But it
So-
was still a possibility.
Link to the
it's
ass.
always a possibility until it's done.
It sucks, but it's supposed to be a great game, though. So, like, at least we're gonna play a good RPG. But
That
the
might be
problem is,
nice, yeah.
I have 35 hours of a bad RPG to crush through first.
I have 45,
You have a week off.
and I'm not going to play for a week.
We have 2 weeks from today to finish this game.
I know. I'm going to beat it in a week.
Are you?
Well,
do you think you actually?
You might
will?
have more
I
time
have
than
to.
that because Camcam is only 2 hours in and he's still not fucking playing Digimon.
But I don't want to plan. I want to make Cameron plan a bunch of episodes in a row. I don't want to be part of that. I need to have my.
You don't want to have like a bunch of D&D.
I'll just tell him I beat it, knowing that Cameron didn't beat it.
Well, we could check your trophies.
Just don't sync. Don't connect to.
Just no internet, guys. Sorry.
Just like hide your trophies from everyone.
No, that would be unfair. I plan on doing a full-on work week of 8 hours a fucking day after this week. So I got to do FedEx. I mean, that's already going to be bad enough just doing that job. I don't want to do Digimon right after and then go to bed. I just don't. So, it is what it is. It's just, yeah. I just hate myself. But mostly I hate you, Craig.
Yeah.
Mostly that's...
I hate you both because you're both to blame for this.
I am not to blame.
You nominated it.
It could.
You can't.
It could have easily been Monster Hunter World, and it would have been had not for Joe.
I don't know if that's.
And
true.
then Monster Hunter World was also 100 hours. So you're complaining about time is meaningless.
I actually am complaining about time, but it's also partly the game. There have been times where I've had time to play the game, and I just don't want to play it. Those times, if I played a game that was fun, would have never happened. I would have just played the game.
It's tough, dude.
And I'm also trying to stream every minute of it because there's really no reason to not stream
A miserable game.
a miserable or any game for Nude Clan. If we have the ability to stream it, we should stream it. Like, we should. We have a channel. It's fucking there for streaming.
Yeah.
We should just do it every time. That's what I'm like, I can't do anything off stream unless it's like intense trophy grinding. Which, oh yeah, by the way, I played Shadow of Mordor this week and I platinumed it. So
Oh,
played that too.
congratulations.
That took too long.
How many platinums is that?
For the year, it's 3. Overall, it's 23, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, getting boned by Dylan.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
He's
Dylan
got-
did
he's got-
things like
Dylan
buy
doesn't-
games to get
Dylan-
the platinum trophy in 4 hours, and then gave the game back.
Yeah, that was before.
I have
but
never
like
done
this,
that.
This
Doesn't matter if it was
year,
before.
He has like 9.
Doesn't matter
Just
if it was
this
before,
year.
it still counts to the total.
Even without those, I think he has more
But
than you.
much like me with Jake, I've come up with numerous ways that I'm better than Dylan. And the new one for me is that my completion ratio is about 25%. So like for me, I 100% about a quarter of my games. So I'm destroying Dylan and Jake in that. So I'm still winning in a way. I have to come up with like niche ways for me to actually be the victor because I can't actually just keep up with those freaks.
Oh, okay.
And that's my new one.
Well, you shouldn't feel too bad. One of them doesn't have a job, and the other one's part time.
Yeah, Dylan is the sick one lately, so fuck that. Platinuming my own games that I loan the little fucker. Sick. Shouldn't be.
Yeah. Paper Mario will be pretty fun, so that's 7 weeks away now.
Yep. 7 weeks to beat.
All right, so I'll have a week of playing Digimon. I'll have a week of playing Tactics Advance 2.
Do you have the red, white, yellow dealio, the converter? I think you do.
Converter.
For the streaming.
Thought I'd give it back.
Well, we need to find out because you will probably stream that first.
I'm like 90% sure I give it back.
If you are, then we'll find it and give it back to you because I'm not going to do Paper Mario for a while.
I'm not going to do Paper Mario. Paper Mario's the last on my list, too.
After Final Fantasy? I guess it has to be
Yeah, it
now,
is
huh?
after Final Fantasy, yeah.
Maybe I'll just keep it here. We should stream them all, though.
I agree.
It's not as lonely.
I agree. Where can we get this game?
Dylan has it.
Dylan has one copy,
Dylan has a copy, and I think you can.
and the game is not cheap on Amazon.
No.
So thanks, Dylan. Appreciate that.
Well, if we
just get Dylan's copy, that means we have to split it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll see what I can do.
Okay, we'll figure it out.
Thank you, Dylan. Thank you for your money.
Thanks, Dylan. Any other game would have been easy to get a hold of.
yeah.
Any other game would have been shorter.
The one that was winning, I already own.
I wouldn't say thanks, Dylan. I'd say thanks to the fuckers who just like midway came through and decided they wanted to vote for Paper Mario. Of all the games, like that's the game that won.
Well, Dylan had like a list of
I mean,
11
it's fine.
games that he
Just-
let the community vote on, and then it was the final 4.
Oh my god, I didn't know it was that popular. 1,000-Year Door.
It's an RPG. Our audience makes it.
Yeah, it's a Mario RPG. There's like 3 of them.
I was ready for another 9-hour Zelda game. That's what I was ready for. Actually, this one took me 6.5, I think. The whole stream is on Twitch somewhere.
Link to the Past is harder, so.
Well, yeah.
How?
It is harder. I have
is.
played
It's
parts where I
harder.
can't get past things at all.
Fuck.
But the same thing happened to me with the first Zelda anyway. The first time we played it, especially.
Yeah, well, me too, because I went to Dungeon 9 before like 5, and I was like, Jesus Christ. It's like I was doing them in order, and then I found that one, and I was like, oh, dude, if this is the rest of the game, like, I am fucked. And then I went back and did like 4, 6, and I was like, oh, this is a breeze. This is fine. Yeah.
All right. Do we have a question?
Yes. Okay, so it's from Shinru. He says, hey, so Caleb, Craig, and Schweiss are going to start playing Nocturne. How are you finding the game so far?
I haven't turned it on. Haven't installed it. I lied the other week when I said I did.
You lied? How
Yes.
dare you?
I told Craig I installed it because I wanted him to feel bad for making me play Digimon.
Yeah, and then I was like, no, you didn't. I knew you didn't.
I had it installed at one time, though.
No, I don't believe that
I
either.
just deleted it because
I believe you looked at it. I don't believe you ever downloaded
I believe you looked at it. I believe you thought about it.
I've started it, and it's all right. I mean, I like the Shin Megami Tensei games, so we'll have to really get into it because it's supposed to be one of the hardest games, and I can see it.
I didn't know. I don't know. God, I just have a memory blanking about this Nocturne thing.
It was gifted to us a long time
it was
ago.
gifted to us like
I was
a year ago.
I was
and
thinking of
Schweiss and
I was
just have not
thinking of
started.
the votes, and I was like, "What the fuck? What is this Nocturne thing?"
It's just a game we didn't play, and we just kind of shoved it under the rug.
And then Schweiss keeps saying because he had to pay the tax for it, he shouldn't have to play it.
well, that's
Yeah.
true.
I
So
paid for the game.
Shinru just send Schweiss 36 cents, and then
He
he'll have to.
like Shinru doesn't do enough for the shows without pay.
Look, man, forced entries don't come from giving us news every week. It's just not part of the rules. Forced entries and donated games come from being fully donated. That's how it's always been.
Okay.
That's how it'll always be.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
So, 36 cents.
What is that thing you got pulled up? Is it something we need to read?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
This is one from our contact forum, which I am awful about reading. This one's from, let's see,
Wait a
January 1st, so not
nice.
too old. It says, "Hey guys, love the show. Only been listening religiously for a few weeks, but I've dabbled in a select couple episodes of UFF over the past few years. I'm a data analyst in the Maryland, D.C. area. Had a thought when listening to the end of the year episode. What if there was a way to compare your guys' hog stats to the average gamer out there? Comparing your data with data from how long to beat, etc. At the end of the year, you can compare your personal average runtime versus Nude Clan as a whole versus the average people, or to compare and report on your stats at a high level. You could display how many hours a day on average were played. I don't want to see that. On games based on a game's start date, end date,
Sure about that?
and hours played. I am positive.
You're quite obsessed with your time in 11 and 14, Schweiss.
That's different, though. Could show how many hours in total were put into RPGs, shooters, adventure games, etc., based on predetermined criteria. Which types of games rated the highest for you all? Kind of see what I'm thinking? I could easily start throwing something together that measures that all for you if you guys don't think it would be too hard to track it or too much effort to try to coordinate it. I could collect the external data on my time. I think it's a cool area to grow Nude Clan hog reporting and maybe even expand beyond games, average numbers of pages read per day, etc. Free of charge. It's something I love doing. Just hearing you guys talk, rate games, enjoy life is payment enough. Just let me know. I think it would be super cool. I could send a small sample of what I'm thinking if we're interested in seeing a draft of a product. I'm easily reached at thanks and keep up the awesome rants, Francis. Francis, I think this would be a cool thing to combine with Hogib.
I think so too, and so maybe you should give the Hogib guys his email.
Jump on Twitter and follow. Fuck, what's the guy's name?
Jay His and at Matunica.
At Matunica and at Jayhiz, and you'll see them communicating with us a lot on Twitter. So jump on there, let them know what your idea is. I think they could probably do something like that. And it sounds like you're able to help. So if you are, I mean, that'll just make it all the easier.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. I think that would be really cool to have Nude Clan stats for everybody.
If it's possible.
If it's possible. I'm not a programmer. None of us are, so we don't know. But get in touch with those guys, and we'll see what we can. We'll see what we can do.
Okay. All right. Let's review the classic game, NES game, Zelda. Just kidding. The Legend of Zelda.
Buffering.
What?
出る出るゼルダの伝説出る出る出る出るついに出るゴージャス今度の冒険リアル君もすぐに体験憎いでやんすねこんちくしょう高画質の謎解きアクション戸惑うことなくのめり込もうオチのローンスーパーファミコン
Oh, that's a boy. Oh, yeah, maybe he is.
知らず知らずと真剣勝負今宵もゼルダは最高潮スーパーファミコンゼルダの伝説ついに出る
So they made a rap song for that.
The Japanese trailer.
With some crazy dancing.
That's fucking awesome.
I think Jake sent us that one because he's like, do the Zelda rap trailer.
and that's what I found.
That's the trailer we found. Yeah, so fuck. There it is. Legend of Zelda rap trailer.
The Legend of Zelda.
Rap trailer.
Released in 1986. It was initially going to be... I got my fucking development notes here, the book you have there, Schweiss. It was originally going to be one of the a launch title for the Famicom. I believe they delayed it. I'm not sure. But they were working on Super Mario Bros. At the same time. Development began in 1984, designed by the famous Shigeru Miyamoto and Takashi Tezuka. Miyamoto, of course, I believe he's the CEO of Nintendo still, or used to be. Am I wrong?
I think he used to be.
I know that name, and I know people are going to shit their pants because I don't know that much about this guy, so I'm sorry.
I'm not sure if he still is, but he still is like a major figure.
The backstory that was available in the booklet that came with the game was written by Dragon Ball screenwriter Keiji Terui, which drew inspirations from conflicts in medieval Europe. Once again, the game was made concurrently with Mario to be the NES launch title, and they originally had like a bunch of ideas for how Mario could be, and a bunch of like ideas that were a little too big for the Mario game that they eventually made. So they decided to make Mario Bros. A linear path game. Then they took all the open world concepts that they had for Mario and they tried to implement them into Zelda. They still had to simplify it later down the line from kind of like the big ideas they had. But they basically had like a list of Mario ideas and a list of Zelda ideas in the company. Gameplay-wise, famously, Miyamoto, when he was a kid, used to explore the woods around Kyoto, and there were caves and crap like that. And so he kind of drew inspiration of the world into that. But I guess the story and crap was written by a screenwriter for Dragon Ball. So, story. The plot of Legend of Zelda, and I'm just going to read this off Wikipedia because it's really succinct and well done. Small kingdom in the land of Hyrule. The setting of the game is engulfed in chaos after an army led by Ganon, the Prince of Darkness, so Satan, invaded it and stole the Triforce of Power, a part of a magical artifact bestowing great strength. In an attempt to prevent Ganon from acquiring the Triforce of Wisdom, another of the pieces, Princess Zelda splits it and hides it in 8 fragments in secret dungeons throughout the land. Before the princess is eventually kidnapped by Ganon, she commands her nursemaid. Of course, the princess is kidnapped by the bad guy.
Yeah.
That's when the 2 idea walls of Super Mario Bros. And Legend of Zelda are all like, oh shit, we forgot to move. Oh shit, it's just on both. That's what happened there. She commands her nursemaid Impa to find someone courageous enough to save the kingdom. While wandering the land, the old woman is surrounded by Ganon's henchmen, though a young boy named Link appears and rescues her. After hearing Impa's plea, he resolves to save Zelda and sets out to reassemble the scattered fragments of the Triforce of Wisdom to become powerful enough to defeat Ganon.
So you're trying to reunite the Holy Trinity, Father, Son, the Holy Ghost, to fight Satan.
Yeah.
This game is about.
Oh, yeah, that's deep.
Yeah.
During the course of the game,
I
Link
also don't remember any of this.
Link locates because it's not.
I don't remember
in the
remember
game.
any of this.
It is when you turn it on, but you skip it all.
Link locates the 8 underground labyrinths, defeats several guardian monsters, and retrieves the fragments. I don't think this is a spoiler that he wins. With the completed Triforce of Wisdom, Link is able to infiltrate Ganon's hideout, Death Mountain, eventually confronting the pig-like enemy. The invisible, jumping around like an asshole pig-like enemy, and destroying him with the silver arrow that he picked up in another dungeon. Link picks up the Triforce of Power from Ganon's ashes and returns both the pieces of the Triforce to the rescued Princess Zelda, restoring peace to Hyrule. Now, the thing about the story of the game is, I guess, is it in the opening crawl? I did not see it.
It is in the opening crawl, but you have to
what?
Just let it go.
Okay.
Because if you press any button, it skips it.
Does it have
skips it.
all of that? Because what I had heard from another podcast called Two Dudes in an NES, which is a good podcast I suggest people to check out, was that the story was basically in the booklet, like came with the game, like a
It's
relatively
also in
detailed
the
version.
booklet, but like that's also in the
Thing is,
in the game.
The booklet doesn't come with the Wii version.
No. So you basically
things like
would
that.
have to watch the beginning.
And no one ever kept their shit when they had an NES. Remember back in the day, no one kept the box, no one
Nope.
kept the booklet.
Yeah, like the only thing you can ever find is just the cartridge.
All you have is a cartridge. So when I was a kid and I first tried this game, of course, it's the only system we had until I was like 8 and my mom threw it away because I guess video games aren't good for kids or whatever. Which is bullshit. Bullshit. Thanks, Mom. Hey, guess who came out and started making a video game podcast, by the way?
Who came out?
I came out.
Yeah, that's what
as a video
that's
game
what they
player.
did. They forced it upon you. They forced the lack of video games,
Yeah.
and now you're drawn to it.
Now I'm somewhat drawn to it. I'm starting to get sick of them soon with all these
Yeah.
fucking RPGs, but I think my limit on RPGs is actually just one. Just one RPG at a time. Anyway, so when I was a kid, I would just pop this in, and all you see is just a dude just sitting in a field. That's all the game starts out on.
Yep.
The thing is, I think we have to kind of review the story in context. First of all, this was, at least in my opinion, this was an NES game. The first of its, one of the first NES games, right?
Right.
And previously to that, I guess there were some computer games that were kind of story driven.
Not many. There
not
was
many.
the only ones that were around were really
Ultima.
Ultima and Wizardry.
Ultima and Wizardry, yeah,
Which
which are
basically
RPGs.
created Dragon Quest, which came out
Yeah.
a few months after Legend of Zelda.
Okay, so that's when. So this was kind of like during the birth of like. There's going to be a story. So it's not, I don't necessarily expect a game like this to have a story. And at the time, of course, they had to save space. And like those RPGs like Ultima and stuff, the stories were in booklets and you had to like refer back to them sometimes in order to get the full story of the game. And there was a kind of like exploration of possible story in that respect. It's almost like a D&D thing where the story's in the book.
Yeah.
That comes with the game, but that's not actually the game. The game you're playing is with your friends around a table. In this case, the game is the thing that's on the screen. The story is in the booklet that comes with the game.
Well, that's also technically in the game.
But I'm wondering, even though the story is separate from the game experience entirely, almost, I guess we can review the story if you want to.
Well, I mean, yeah, we should. I mean, there's like a story.
Since there is one, I guess.
There is a story, and you kind of get a feel of it while you're like just playing the game, like a slight
feel.
Yeah,
But like the meaning of the silver arrow and stuff like that, apparently that's in the booklet. Like there's the information
it tells
of
you,
all
it
that
tells
shit.
you like about each of the items and stuff, and
Yeah.
like that's not information that you can get in the game.
Yeah, there's PDFs available of the original booklet online. I did not look at it though. I just know it exists.
Yeah.
So I will tell you that the thing that I think it's a good, simple kind of hero's journey sort of a thing where you're
that's
playing the
pretty much
character.
what it's supposed to be, a coming of age type thing.
It is the Legend of Zelda, so it's not really like a full-on character piece. It's like this idea of a legend, once upon a time this guy did this and this happened, and you can tell that story in 3 paragraphs basically. I think it does that okay. The thing that's also interesting about this story arc is that the game was successful enough, of course, to spawn a billion sequels.
Yeah, and the funny thing
And
about the
they
sequels is
repeat the story.
they do repeat the story, but they also change some weird stuff. Like, for instance, in this game, the focus is the Triforce of Wisdom, which is generally in a lot of the other other beginning Legend of Zelda games. It's usually the Triforce of Courage that Link has or is obtaining, because he is like the courageous hero, and he gets the Triforce of Courage in order to fight against Ganon, who has the Triforce of Power. So it's kind of weird that they like kind of had it be Wisdom first, even though they like had him set out for a courageous hero. And it's kind of odd that they just the weird stuff that they
Weird
changed.
stuff that they changed.
And they
throughout time.
also like reuse a lot of the same ones. I can't remember exactly which Legend of Zelda it was. I think it might be like the Oracle of Seasons and stuff, where they reuse like this exact beginning, or like Impa comes like and gets attacked by monsters or whatever, and then Link comes and saves her.
Yeah.
Like that exact thing happens in a couple of the other games.
Something they talked about on Two Dudes in an NES, and I think this was kind of how it was seen back at the time. Something they talked about is that, like, to them, it was every new Zelda was just the same telling through a different person, basically. So it's like the game Telephone. You know how there's like, you know, the monomyth stuff with Joseph Campbell, where, you know, there was once like a hero structure at some point early, man, and then people spread out and the story changes throughout time. So like Shiva becomes Christ and stuff like that. Like it goes throughout time, it just slowly changes through a game of like crazy generational Telephone. And the idea at some point was that these Legend of Zeldas were the same telling of the same story, just in different ways-ish, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of like that idea. But of course, Nintendo, they've decided that there's an official timeline.
Yeah.
Instead of having it be, hey, these are just retellings and occasionally like a side quest.
It still kind of is in a way, because like the way they have it set up is that Link and Zelda constantly get reborn along with Ganon, and like so it's always it's just like it goes into like the next thing that happens. So it still kind of is that. It's just along a timeline.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of like it sounds kind of like what my theory for the James Bond movies was, where it's like it's there rather than it being the same James Bond every time, which I know this is incorrect because the Bond books, it is the same guy throughout the whole thing. But I would argue that the movies, it could be James Bond is also another code name, and each of the movies is, you know, that is James Bond at the time. James Bond was the James Bond from the books, exists in the movies. He's gone now. Now 007 is also known as James Bond, and each iteration of James Bond is just that code name, is just that person.
They call that the code name theory. You're not the person who made that.
Oh, I'm not saying I am that made it up, but I never heard it before I thought of it. So
Yeah.
I did make it up in my own way.
There you go. I said you're not the first person.
But yeah, it's maybe it's kind of like that. Like, is that what you're kind of feeling like Zelda could have been if Nintendo wouldn't have said otherwise?
Pretty much, like a lot of it goes a lot along the same lines, like for a lot of the games.
Isn't that kind of disappointing?
Especially the
when
early
game
ones.
companies do that though, or they like take it away from you.
Where they
It's
take
like, I
away
think
the
it'd be-
theory.
yeah, I
Well, a
think
lot
it'd
of
be
people
cool.
were trying to piece together a timeline anyway.
Oh, so they just
So
did
it was like basically a theory of like that and a timeline. So like basically they're just like, hey, it's
I
both.
thought when the timeline came out, I thought it was cool. And of course, I've played a lot of Zelda and never beat any of them until, of course, this one. And of course, Dylan, who is a friend of ours and a friend of mine for a long time, he is a huge Zelda fan. Hated the idea of a timeline. And I was like, well, I think it's cool. You could see the branches and how it, like, you know, this is an alternate thing if the moon smashes into the planet or whatever.
I thought that was stupid.
Anyway,
Because there's also for the Majora's Mask in general is just stupid. Because like it's like there's a theory that Link just dies at the very beginning of Majora's Mask. So if there's that theory that he's dead, what the fuck does it matter if the moon smashes into the world? What the fuck? Like, it doesn't matter because none of it happens if he's dead.
sorry you have to deal with such horrible things.
I know.
How do you live?
How do you
day-to-day with
live?
that?
I don't know. I just do one day at a time, you guys.
Okay. one day.
So the story of this game by itself, as included with its booklet, what do you think, Craig?
I mean, I guess it's all right. It's just the standard, gotta save the princess type thing, along with it's really just a story that serves the gameplay too, kind of like how we talked about with Doom, or like it's just like, hey, you're just on Mars killing demons just for the fucking hell of it, like that's what it's for, and that's kind of. And this was made during a time when there was like a lot of not a lot of story anyway. So I mean, I guess like it does its job, but it's.
I think it's fine for what it is. Obviously, it was impactful enough that they kept on reusing it. Of course, better as the series goes along in general, I think.
Yeah.
At the time, though, keeping it with the booklet was pretty standard with games, so I'm not really going to dock it too much for that, although I know that Final Fantasy II is only 2 years away.
Well, fucking...
That one had quite a breadth of a story.
Dragon Quest was also only a few months away, and it's very similar to Legend of Zelda in a lot of ways.
So there was definitely a way for them to do it at the time. They didn't for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe there wasn't. No, there must have been space. I can't imagine there wasn't space.
Okay, so for this one, it's mostly a technological thing, because this one has a lot of things on the NES that are pretty impressive, like the random rocks falling when you're like in certain areas.
So you're saying you think it might have been a space thing?
I think it might have been a space thing. Okay. Because like there's a lot in there, because like they didn't really focus on the graphics that hard because of like the gameplay aspect of it.
Right.
That's fair, yeah. And they're like FF and Dragon Quest, they're both RPGs, so they don't really have that going on. They don't have that adventure game feel. And it's probably a lot simpler to do the random encounters, and like that's when you go into the battle screen, and like that's where all the fighting takes place. Whereas in this one, it's all on the main map. There is no separation of map and fights, you know.
I'm
sure that takes a lot.
Then there's also the idea that like it's one of the first games for the system, so they don't know how much they can do with it.
Right. I do like to judge the game based upon when it came out.
Yeah.
So I am wondering.
There's part of that, and then there's also like how well it holds up. Because personally, I don't think this is the greatest game ever, which it constantly is on those lists. Like, you know, you see everybody.
It's definitely
having,
a super influential one.
It's a super influential one, and I don't mind it being on like a list of the most influential. But like, it's the greatest game ever, and always in the number one spot. No.
Okay. For the time, I've never played Ultima 4, although I know because of the Spoony Experiment reviews, like it's a pretty in-depth story for a early 80s, mid 80s game.
Right.
And this is mid to late. This is 86, right?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of going back and forth. I don't know a game before it that had a bigger story. So it's not like I can it wasn't as good as this game. So, but it still had a story. I just don't. My knowledge just doesn't reach past 1986. So I do think it had a better story than FF1. Came out after it.
I do like the simple stories, like for Dragon Quest. Basically, it's the same story. You know, you rescue the princess, and then you feel like you gotta go destroy the evil that is looming over the world. And then in Legend of Zelda, it's basically tied together. You gotta go beat the evil that has the princess. You know, you gotta. And I don't mind that simple story. It's like basically what makes Mario work. Mario is the simplest of all, where you got to beat Bowser, who has kidnapped Princess Peach 48,000 times.
It's almost the exact same thing, because you got to go do the different castles, which have different
you got to
go
do
instead of different pieces.
Instead of being like a linear thing, it's just more open. Yeah, so it's basically the same thing. And I don't really mind the simple stories.
Okay,
it does serve the gameplay for this one, and they do get more complex as Legend of Zeldas go on. Yeah. So I don't mind it. Like,
I think I'm gonna dock it 1 point because it was on the booklet instead of in the game.
Well,
and maybe I know that Ultima 4 came out like 2 years before. So I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. Just because look, it's an old game. There wasn't much at the time as far as story was concerned. It hadn't yet become like a storytelling medium. Stories were just like this kind of bonus thing that came with it. And it did it in the way that every other game did it, where it was in the booklet that came with the game. It wasn't necessarily the game itself. Yeah. So I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
I'm going to give it an 8 for basically the same reasons. I mean, the story is in the game in a way. It's like at the very beginning of the game, but like nobody ever like sits there long enough to like watch the story.
I'm pretty
happen.
sure they don't mention half of what Joe mentioned, though.
They mentioned almost none of it.
I'm pretty sure it's.
It mentions basically
Oh, he's
that
talking about the beginning thing. I don't know.
yeah, it basically mentions like part of what he said. So I mean, it gives you an idea of what the story is. Like she's been captured by Ganon, and then you got to go rescue her because you helped out Impa or whatever. So like it basically tells you that, and then you like dropped into the world.
You do have to think back being an 80s kid. You don't look this shit up online. You got a cool booklet that came with the thing. Just remember back in the day, Schweiss, when you used to get the booklets and read
I did, yeah. I always looked at the booklets before I
and
started.
Just
the game.
imagine a time
when I loaned
pre-internet. It's even more of like a big thing.
And then when I loaned you the games, you of course threw the booklets in the garbage, and I could never use my booklets again.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm sure you don't, Caleb.
yeah,
It's okay.
I don't know what you're talking
8,
about.
7 tactics, all 3 booklets going in, no booklets coming out, and one of them doesn't even fucking work anymore. And I didn't know that because I couldn't play tactics until recently, and it's fucking broken. So thank you. Thank you, Greg.
I don't know what you're
I'm going to
talking
give the
about.
story an 8 too, because it is basically the same story as Mario. It's not a super impressive story. It's pretty bare bones. But this game isn't really made for the story. One thing I do like is I do believe that it does tell the story well within the game itself. It's like FF1. Like FF1 has a decent story because there's barely any story, and like you progress throughout the game, and like that's kind of the story and the gameplay are kind of intertwined. And I feel like Legend of Zelda does that. I think Legend of Zelda probably does it better than the original FF.
I don't know about that because like when you're playing the game and you have no idea what the story is, you didn't read the booklet or you didn't watch the little beginning thing, you just basically kind of get the idea that there's like not really anything going on. You're just discovering little things, you're killing monsters, and then you get to the like very end, and then you saved the princess.
Yeah,
and
but I mean, as we
you saved the world.
as we discussed, like the gameplay was created because of his exploration, him exploring his local town.
Well-
Like that's kind of what the story is. The story is about like
yeah,
the
but
adventure.
you have no background to it.
You
It's
don't
just,
necessarily
it just
have
happens.
to though. Like it's like when you go explore, when you go out and like hike and go look for things that you don't know are there. That's kind of what it is. You're just kind of going out and you're just doing it. And I don't know. I kind of like it in this game. It's not perfect though, and the story is extremely light. But that's why I dock it a couple points because it's not in depth, and there are much more impressive games that come out very shortly afterwards. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of liked it.
Gameplay. This is the thing that the game is. All it is gameplay.
That's-
Brutal.
Yeah, very
It's,
true.
5 out of 10. I'm just kidding.
Wow. Wow.
Caleb's
Wow. Okay. So this game's got an overhead view. Come on, guys. You've all played Zelda. Really? I mean, overhead view. You got a little sword. You can increase your weapons. You basically have 2 equipment slots.
Oh, is this an RPG too, Craig?
No.
Actually, do you only have 1 equipment? No,
no,
you have 2. You have 2.
You have the sword,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you have the optional
secondary.
item. Yeah,
And there's secondary, so you can have like, and you gather them throughout the game. Those secondary items will help you beat certain bosses that like you need to hit a boomerang with because they'll react differently, or you need to like turn on the light switch or whatever.
or you
Yeah.
could just always use bombs.
There's bombs, as well that things drop and you can use.
Yeah,
In order to open up secret passages and stuff like that. And then the rest of the game really is you have to explore the map. If you're not using a guide, which people probably didn't do for the most part back when the game came out.
they had to use guides.
It's a big part of like memorization is a huge part of the game. Also, it would have been like getting out your graph paper and figuring
basically this game wants you to have communications with like other people who have played the game and like to make your own maps. Because there are areas that will
And
just loop you around constantly.
you got to use the bomb on every single tile in the game,
Just to
basically, just to check it, just to check and see if like a secret passage opens up and stuff like that. So in one sense, I think that's really awesome and cool especially once again in a day when you had like less things like vying
Yeah,
for your attention.
yeah.
So-
Wait, especially because wasn't that around when the economy tanked in the 80s? Like, you're probably not doing much. So you got Zelda. Fuck it. Just spend all your days.
Get your graph paper
You know,
out.
my old roommate, Dwayne, his dad has his original graph. Like, he made a map of Zelda, and he still has it. Like, it's just
Yeah.
the full map, like, with all the twists and turns, all the items.
And I'm sure there's a bunch of like little checklists.
Yeah,
Where he's checked off like I tried to bomb here, I tried to bomb here, I
that's
tried to bomb here,
awesome.
tried fire here, over
Yeah,
here.
that's awesome, but I
It's
don't
awesome.
want to do it. Like,
I
I
would
want to
never
want
do
to
it
do
now.
I want to, but I don't. I don't want to do that shit ever because it's already out there. The info's already out there. We're so pampered. Like,
Yeah, and you would need to do that for a few things in the game.
Oh yeah,
There's
definitely.
a sword that's basically required that you need to
oh, the upgrade.
use that for. Yeah,
Yes, and the arrows in the very end of the game because I was at Ganon for ever. Got him down like 5-6 times each time, and I was like, this guy just doesn't die. And then I looked online, I'm like, oh yeah. It's like, did you get the silver arrow? I'm like, fucking no. Where's the silver arrow? It's like, oh, you got to backtrack in that final dungeon. So I took like another hour, just like, and then I fucked him, like just royally destroyed him first time I walked in, made him my bitch. But yeah, the game, and I do think it's pretty impressive, and I think it's really cool that it has that, where it has like certain enemies are they're weak to bombs. Certain enemies you can stun with the boomerang. There's the exploration when you find an
tons
optional
of secrets both in the dungeons and out of the dungeon.
Yeah, you can get more health to make the game slightly easier.
They are
unless-
straight up secrets. There's no way of getting a clue to where some of them are.
No, some of
Yeah.
them they do. The old men do tell you sometimes, but not
Oh, you
all
mean
the time.
the old man who tells you go see the old man?
Yeah,
Yeah.
go
When
see the
every
old
old
woman.
man looks exactly the fucking same,
Yes.
because really, in reality, it's the same old man.
Me and Dylan
Everywhere.
Me and
It's
Dylan
the-
had that joke
Yeah.
when we were in high
It's
school.
the
It's like,
merchant.
it's
from
the same
FF.
guy. He's fucking with you.
Yeah, he's like everywhere.
He's got like little tunnels underground. He's like, I'm gonna go meet him.
He's
over
even
there.
the old lady. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty fucking
That's Friday
sure.
nights.
I'm
Friday
pretty sure
nights,
it's
he's the
just
old
he's
lady.
just fucking Ganon, and he's just like disguising himself
So
just to
it's-
fuck with you.
Oh, that's a good theory. That's a great theory.
Yeah.
But I love that idea. I love the idea of that. There are a lot of things, and like when I first found an optional thing in the dungeons, I was like, oh, there must be upgrades and new things in each dungeon, and that became the thing. Like, okay, I need to fully discover this dungeon to get all of the extra stuff. And really, it's not extra stuff most of the time. It's stuff you fucking need.
Yeah,
Like the
pretty much
raft.
everything is necessary.
Yeah, some of the health bars you don't need. Some of the hearts are not necessary completely, but they will make the game a lot fucking easier.
Yeah.
I liked most of the enemies. The really stressful one was the vagina monster that would eat your shield.
Oh yeah.
It looks like what I would imagine a vagina like pulled out of the body.
You it
Just
looks like what a vagina would
like
look
it's
like.
like, an accordion
like Sasha?
vagina. Yeah, like it looks like a fucking plastic novelty vagina. That's exactly what it looks like, and it takes your shield, and then you got to go manipulate the rupee game to get more rupees back to then go get your shield again, and it's so frustrating.
I always had a problem with the guys that are like really heavily armored. I think it's the
The
blue
knights?
ones that are
Yeah.
like
Blue
the
knights?
disgusting ones.
Yeah, they're assholes.
The wizards.
Fuck that.
the wizards. When I got like a room of wizards, I was like, that was when
Using his magic.
that's when I went from like number 5 to number 9. It was all wizards, and I was like, holy fuck, this game just whipped its dick out and slapped me in the face with it. I'm like, this is crazy. I was
the
talking to my
wizards are
roommate, and
tough.
I'm like, Dwayne, is this the game from now on? Because I don't think I could do this. Like, I got save states, and I'm just getting fucking mowed. This game is
Dude,
wrecking my face.
here's the thing: the first 4 dungeons of this game, not
Fucking
that
easy?
hard.
Yeah.
not that hard. 5th dungeon is when the blue motherfuckers
Oh,
with
yeah,
shields
fuck
come out.
those guys,
and
yeah.
there will be like 40 of them in a room.
Yeah, and there
and
will
you
be,
just have to slowly like
just pick at them.
pick them down. I didn't have save states on the Wii version. That's why I said I'm emulating this game. I don't care. I've bought the game legally before. I don't give a shit. I'm emulating this thing so I can have save states. You can
Yeah.
have save states on the Wii U version and the DS version.
Yep, I bought it again on the DS because I couldn't play it on the Wii. I had
so,
to.
and here's the
Fucking
thing.
bought it twice.
Back in the 80s when all you had was
guys are
fucking
weak.
time. And all you had was fucking time. You could have probably just started at the beginning, and because you've graphed this whole fucking game out, know it like the back of your goddamn hand, you could get right back to that dungeon and do that shit. And you probably are like doing the weird tappy thing that people do in order to play this game well. I'm a holder down. I realize what my problem is with this game is that I'm a guy who holds down the directional pad. Like, no matter what, you have to tap the directional pad in order to be good at this game. And that is just like, that does not compute with me. I tried it, dude. I was like, like I see Dylan playing the game, and like, how the fuck does he do that little tappy directional thing? And it's just a different like physical skill set that you must have had to build up when you were a kid to figure out how to beat these fuckers. And so that's just like, that is the reality of the situation right there. Is that this game is actually, if you're not emulating it, or if you don't have save states, it is hard.
No, it's not.
If you get enough hearts, you can do it. And if you memorize the map.
Oh, maybe if you're doing the tappy.
I've played it 3 times.
Are you a tapper?
It's pretty easy. Yeah.
Caleb's a slow tapper, though. I bet you. And there was a day a while back
Like, you can literally beat everything with just bombs.
where we tested.
You can, like, group them all together, and then the bomb will kill everybody.
We tested Joe's
Everybody.
Joe's tap ability on like the controller. You remember that? And you were like fucking slow because we were doing Metal Gear Solid. We were talking about like surviving the scene where you're being tortured, and like I did it. I did every single one of them, and like I was getting fucked like by the end.
That's funny. My pick hand on my guitar is
That's
just
why
fine.
I
I'm
need
pretty
to get,
fast at
I need
it.
to get better at guitar so I can see if I could do triplets.
But it's not.
better than
It's
you.
not
I'm just
quite.
like fucking.
It's not quite the same muscle. It's like very close, but it's not quite there. So if it were side to side, I'd like fucking rip it. But
Just get a guitar pick
Because
and like
it's
fucking
down.
pick the button. Just
well, that's basically what I had to do. Someone told me to get a pencil and just swipe it back and forth on the
Oh, yeah,
Metal Gear
that-
Solid
that-
thing.
yeah.
It was easy after that.
you should have grabbed a guitar pick and like a heavy
I
pick
didn't
and just
fucking know, so I had to repeat that whole section again. Anyway,
All right, play Slayer.
there is a type of playing in this game that you have to do. At the time, you would have had a certain type of patience or a want to explore the world that was quite vast and quite a lot of stuff on it for an NES game. This is pretty in depth. There's a lot of shit here, and there's a second new game plus hard mode, which I'm sure we'll talk about in replayability if you want to do
Mixes
that.
up the dungeons too.
It mixes up the whole world basically. So you know what? There's a lot there in the game. The game, though, as a player who has been spoiled by newer games,
Yes.
this is not an easy
Like
game.
Digimon, spoiled by Digimon.
This is a very not easy game.
Oh, the vagina. Oh, that's good, Jake. Jake says the vagina takes all your money. It's like
And the
real-
dungeons,
like real life.
Dungeon 5 to Dungeon 9, which Dungeon 9 is the Ganon, is hell or whatever, the Dungeon Master thing place,
Yeah.
the volcano. Those get real brutal, where they'll have the worst guys in the game. It'll be wizards and knights, and there'll be the little stun burgers and
Stun burgers.
Those are the vagina
those are the
monsters.
vaginas. Okay, I wasn't sure what you were talking about.
They'll
So
grab
now
you
we-
and they'll take
Now
you.
we know. To me, it looked like a hamburger.
It looks like a.
It was a stun
Plastic
burger.
puss.
They're basically vaginas.
So there's stun
They're novelty
burgers. There's the
vaginas.
little traps that go around.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then like
and the wizards will knock you. Into
all the lights
traps.
are off.
The wizards will knock you into the traps, and you'll get fucked.
Yeah,
I fucking hate it.
the game
sometimes.
gets rough. So I don't know how like an 11-year-old kid could play this game unless like they were just obsessed with this game. You know?
Well, the difficulty of the combat isn't really that bad. What's the bad part of the gameplay is like finding all the little fucking secrets and bullshit. Like how you
I
have
think
to,
without a guide, that'd be tough.
without a guide,
That's
like
a very
fucking
time-consuming thing.
burning the right bush in order to get to the next fucking dungeon, or
that's
like
bullshit.
finding out that
That's
you have to, or the part where you have to talk to the goblin in the one fucking dungeon to give him the meat.
you have to feed him.
you have to give him the meat.
You have to find
But
the meat
there's-
somewhere outside
there-
and then give it. So
Oh,
he's-
I didn't do
it
that.
says grumble, grumble because he's hungry. I guess that's what that means.
That's the
you
hint
have
that
to go
you're
get
given is that he's hungry and that you
go
have
get
to
the
give
meat.
him
What was
the
that
meat,
for?
which is
Was that for health?
Get the meat. No,
no,
it was for part of the dungeon.
It was to progress in one of the dungeons.
Yeah, you definitely had to
you
do it.
had to do it.
Oh, maybe
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, it's fucking retarded. Like I just, Just finding out those like the fucking secrets in that, where you have to like blow up parts of the dungeons or like blow up like random parts of the mountain to figure out there's
With
a
save
dungeon
states,
in there.
I just started blowing everything up. I didn't look at guides near the end, except for
Yeah,
when
with
I
save
couldn't beat
states,
the
I guess
game.
you could just be like, I'm going to try this one.
Oh,
Nope.
well, I'm
Gonna
not a
try this
fucking
one.
bitch,
Nope.
so I
Gonna
didn't
try
do
this
that.
One. Nope. Who's the bitch?
The guy who looks
You
at the
guys.
guide, or the guy who figures it out himself.
The guy who looks at the guide. And believe me, this time around, guys, I followed a guide. I followed a guide for all of the stuff in the outer world completely.
I just looked at a map.
And then I had to pull out a guide for the 7th dungeon. And then I followed the guide through the 8th and 9th dungeon as well. So I can say that for most of the time, for most of like the stuff where you had to find shit, I had to use a guide. And I'm glad I did, because it made this game only like 6.5 hours long. I just started the day, went on Twitch, played the game, ended the game. Like, that's all I did that day. I had a good time doing it, I would say, as well. So, do you have any more comments about gameplay, Craig?
There is a lot of cool stuff about the gameplay. Like I said earlier, the falling rocks and shit. Like how the game is really open. You can go to any of the dungeons pretty much at any time.
Yeah.
As long as you have the right item for it, which
Trying
is
to get
really
fucked, but yes.
which is really cool. But I mean, like, I don't like that everything in every dungeon is necessary in order to complete the game, because it kind of takes away the open worldness of
And
it.
it takes away your desire to explore, because now you have to explore.
Yeah, you have to
It's
do it.
no longer I
because-
want to do this, it's I have to do
Yeah,
this.
like, it doesn't really matter the order, because like you're gonna have to do it anyway. Like, so if you could do the later dungeons first, and then you're like, oh well, now I have to do these ones. Like, it's yeah, I don't know. It's just takes away a little bit from it. So I didn't really care for that.
Okay. I'm giving gameplay a 9 out of 10. I'm judging it for the time. Certainly the other Zeldas that came later, like Link to the Past, were smoother on the combat and stuff like that. But for a NES game, this is pretty good. And the idea of what it was at the time, the exploration aspect of it, is super cool. Super in depth. The idea of getting out graph paper and trying out the bomb in certain part of the games, resetting the game and trying it again just to like figure out all the secrets to the game is really, really cool. I'm only taking the point away because I do believe that the difficulty level in a world without save states, where there's 1,200 wizards in a room, like all going just a few too many guys, and I know that sometimes you go there and it is actually impossible to beat a certain thing because of where the guys spawned at right as you walked into a room. So I'm gonna go ahead and just say that's a little too much, just a little too much bullshit. So I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. I think it's held up well, with the exception of like you have to look up a guide in that way, but the game is still pretty solid. It plays well. I think it's fine. Yeah, 9 out of 10.
I'm gonna give it a 7.
7 out of 10.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff about the game that is good, but there's also a lot of, like what you said, the difficulty randomly spikes because of where enemies spawn, which is kind of dumb. And then also the
Or the random walk patterns.
yeah, and then
Fuck you!
the fact that like everything becomes necessary and then cuts down on like the idea of exploration is kind of a poor way to do it, because like some of those things, like you don't need the raft. Like you get the raft just to get to one dungeon, and then you get like the ladder thing that allows you to cross every little lake or water.
Later
bit.
on, there's a heart where you have to use the raft to get to it.
You don't have to get
need
the heart.
though.
You don't need.
I needed all the hearts, dude. I needed all the hearts.
I didn't need all the
I
hearts.
got all the hearts, and I needed
All of them?
every single one of them.
Jeez. I think
The guide that I was following was amazing. It's ZeldaDungeon.com.
How many hearts did you have by the end?
All of them.
Well, how
It
many?
was
are
2
there?
full rows of hearts.
Oh, jeez.
I had like 7.
I think it's 10 hearts. I don't know.
I think I had like 12, yeah.
It doesn't matter, dude. There were still parts where I was dying. I'm not good at this game. I'm giving it a good high score. No, I am not. This is not a game for me because of the way you have to use the controller. It's just counterintuitive for me. It's like playing a platformer for me. I am no good at this type of thing. I'm just like, you had to be a kid and learn these skills at some point. It's like, I don't know, fucking playing the piano or learning a second language. You have to be young enough to like fucking learn how to do it right.
Yeah, well, it's for me. It's like a lot of the weapons and stuff. It's like cool that you can have them, but really, all you have to use is the bomb, like literally just the bomb. Because I've taken out bosses single-handedly with just one use of a bomb.
All that tells me is that there's plenty of options for you as terms of combat.
There's options,
I definitely
but it
didn't
like
use the bomb
basically
all the time.
becomes just the bomb.
Oh, you must be a bomb master, because I
there's-
could not figure out when the fuck the guys were going to group together so that I could use the bomb.
you can lure them. You can just like have them follow
In a
you
way,
and then
yes.
just, like
Up to
get
a point,
bombed.
yes.
Only a little. Yeah.
And then also, if you know where a fucking a hole is gonna be in the wall, you can use the bomb to kill them and then push you into the next room. So I mean, there's that.
Okay.
So it just becomes bomb.
Okay.
The whole playthrough, it's just bomb.
Schweiss.
I'm gonna give it a 9 too. I think it's great. The gameplay, it is a brutal game, but honestly, it's brutal because I am also not that great at it. A lot of the stuff I had to kind of figure out, like the night guys, you have to just walk around them and like just do a real quick tap up, hit them, and then walk back to where you were going. And it's a lot of like guesswork and a lot of really precise movement. Because they move erratically sometimes. They'll be going one direction, and they'll just fucking 180 and just run right into you, take 2 chunks of your fucking health down immediately. But all that aside, I do think it is I think it's enjoyable. I think it's crazy, the exploration. I think it is a lot of fun. The only thing I would dock it for, gameplay-wise, I not really because it's so brutal, but just because of how unfair it can be at times. Like it's not that it's too hard. It's that like
It's not a game at that point. It's a punishment.
Yeah, it's like sometimes the game just fucks you like instantly. It's just like you come in and like Joe said, you come in the room and it's like the little swarm hits you, then you get hit by a wizard, then the wizard knocks you into the ball, and it's like you're just dead. Just chunk, game over. That's pretty annoying and infuriating, and I don't really like the part on the map where you have to like go left twice, down, and then up, and then you get to a new section of the game. I think that's a little cuntish to put in a game.
The revolving forest.
Yeah, I don't care for that kind of shit. That's not okay because the game already kind of looks the same everywhere, and then I gotta do that.
Yeah, that's
like,
part of a lot of the problem I have with the gameplay.
It's a cool idea, but it's a dick move.
Yeah.
An absolute dick move.
The most of the gameplay is done outside of the game via guide because like you have to know where things are, otherwise you're spending unnecessary amount of time just trying to figure out what to do.
But the whole point was back then that you would spend a necessary amount of time.
That was part of it,
game.
yeah, but the part of it was also exploration, which like
this game wasn't a 6-hour game back in the day when you were playing it for the first time and you didn't call the helpline.
I've seen people speedrun this thing in 20 minutes.
Yeah, I understand that, but at the time it was probably more like a 70-hour experience.
I doubt it would be 70.
Yeah, to figure out where all the shit is? I think it would be.
I don't know, because like with the candle, all you would have to do is just try and burn everything. That wouldn't be that long.
I think
Trying to replenish your
I think you're
bombs, though,
underestimating
would
the
take
amount.
more time.
So, okay. Art. Game's pretty classic looking. I have no
Very
problems
classic
with
looking.
I have no problems with the art unless you don't like scary hamburger vaginas.
You don't like the color green. If you don't like green,
There's
you're
a lot
gonna
of
hate.
There's a lot of green and brown.
If you don't like green or brown, you're gonna hate this game.
Green, brown, and beige.
Yeah.
That is the color scheme for
Well,
this game.
My point of reference is 1 year later with the original Final Fantasy, and if you've seen that thing on the NES, it's not a pretty game. It's like black and white, and then some color in other spots. Like that's what the original and gray, a lot of gray in the original Final Fantasy. So I think it looks pretty great for a NES game. NES games don't usually look that great now. I guess Mario Bros, the original one, is probably the best looking NES game. That and maybe the third Super Mario Bros as well. But other than that, I think it looks And it looks great. A lot of the stuff is stuff that is carried on throughout the Zelda series in more high-def fashion. It certainly has its own unique look, I think. It
does have a lot of its own style, yeah, but the problem is like it's got too much repetition in like what the areas look like. Because like every dungeon basically looks the same. All the outside areas look the same, especially when you're in that forest where it's the revolving forest. Like every bit is the same, like everything. So like that would be like without a guide or like as a child, that would be impossible to get through because it's like the problem that I had in Bounty Hunter in that first like fucking level. If you don't know where the dude is going, every single part looks the same and you just end up going in circles.
See, I'm thinking back to when I was a kid. Now, this game was too hard for me as like a 6-year-old. I think as like a 10-year-old, I would have been fine. I think I would have taken out the graph paper because like I remember as a kid being just so intricate about like drawing, and I used to make up my own worlds and shit like that. I draw maps for made up worlds I had in my head. I think I would have probably gone through this thing like excitedly with graph paper and like draw every bush basically and like make a whole world unto myself. I don't think it's that repetitive as you say it is because honestly there was a point in the game where I know where the first few dungeons are just in my head right now.
Because, and it's not, like we go to them
and,
like,
and if everything truly looked the same, I would have said, yeah, I would have been like, I don't know where the fuck anything is. But I don't.
Majority of the parts do look the same though. That's the problem.
I love the very unique enemy designs that are everywhere. I love those things. I think it's a great looking game.
Yeah, when I play the game, it's not like 2 years ago when I walked into the Orem Mall. And I know this is a very niche conversation we're about to have, but the Orem Mall had 2 pretzel times in it. 2 pretzel times. Now,
what? There were 2?
There were fucking 2, and I don't know how to navigate that mall.
I don't
even
either.
now.
Yeah,
but it was
fucking
bad
nuts.
when there were 2. I was like, and I didn't know this for a very long time. I didn't know there were 2. I just like. Someone's like, oh, let's go to the Orem Mall. I'm like, okay, I don't know where anything's at in that fucking place, and that was why. This game, I don't have the 2 pretzel time dilemma that I have when I go.
There is
to
a
the
place
Orem
where
Mall.
it fucks with you at the forest.
Yeah, that's about it.
That's it.
Well, no, it's more like
Fucking
everything
2 pretzel places.
It's more like that everything looks
They're
the
same
same.
name,
Like
too.
there's all the trees are the same tree. Every bush is the same bush. Like they can.
Yeah, but this is NES era.
I know
man.
it's the NES, but like still, like if you look at Mario, it's not that way. Like it's more linear, sure, but like they have more stuff going on in the background and just with like the overworld. Like there's more stuff.
We'll see. You're gonna be like, just the pipes just all look the same.
Well, the
you know,
pipes,
just-
yeah, the pipes are meant
I
to,
want
but
some
that's
pipe
not
variety,
It's like every forest is the layout is very similar, if not the same, and it's not just in that like revolving forest.
They're
And
similar in some
and
spots,
same with
yeah.
a lot of the rooms in the dungeons. Like there's that same triangle or the same diamond shaped thing where you got to push 1 block up to get to the stairs. Like that is in many of the dungeons.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think. Oh my god! Thanks, appreciate that.
Enjoy that Digimon.
Fuck you for putting that as the song. By the way, Schweiss, thank you,
Joe loves
thank you, and fuck you, dude. At the same time, thanks for the follow. I completely disagree with you, Craig. Just absolutely opposite opinion. Yeah, I think it looks great. I think it looks great for the time. I think it still stands up pretty well now, except for the meat.
The what?
The piece of meat does not look like a piece of. I had no idea what the fuck that was when I got it, and then I was like, grumble, grumble. Oh
It
yeah,
looks-
it's the meat.
It looks like a piece of meat. It's like a fucking piece of meat on a bone.
It's a
like
swirl.
what? How do you not know what that is?
It just looks like
It looks more like meat than a fucking vagina creature. It looks like a hamburger.
I think that looks like a hamburger more than it does a vagina creature.
I thought vagina instantly.
Of course you would.
Yeah, you would. But I mean, it does
I
look
think
like
of
that
food
later.
first.
in later fucking Zelda games. It is fucking a novelty vagina.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
fucking one.
Yeah, it's fucking
A hamburger fucks a novelty vagina.
Yep, that's exactly what happens.
It's a lot of-
those later Zeldas
of
are crazy.
Squish. A lot of squishy sounds.
There's a lot of squishy meat. I'm giving design for the time 10 out of 10, and it's very memorable. And I don't know,
I give it an 8.
8 out of 10.
Oh shit! I mixed you guys up.
No, you didn't. No,
I really did.
did you? Oh, we're talking about on our paper that
On the paper, yeah.
Schweiss is keeping track of the scores on.
I'm gonna give it a 9. Nothing's perfect. I don't know, it looks pretty
Wow.
great. It looks pretty great, but some of the stuff does look pretty similar, and it's. I wish they would have done a little bit more with the dungeons, because most of them are pretty damn similar.
Yeah.
And you can kind of tell once you find the dungeon map, it's like, oh, there's obviously a room over here, and like they all just kind of felt the same, except for the final
layout.
dungeon.
Yeah, the final dungeon is the one that's like
That one was
really
great, but
different.
that's also the one I had to look up a guide for because I couldn't find the fucking secret area. I just couldn't find it. Too many things, and it's huge. So that's probably the one thing I would dock. But the dungeons were the most fun part of the game. So
Okay.
I mean, overall, still enjoyable.
Sound and music. There's not too many in-game sounds. That's pretty normal for a NES. There's usually just 4 or 5 kind of different sounds.
Yeah.
There's little dungeon music, and then there's like occasionally just the sound of like your sword blasting, or when you have full health,
Yeah.
or the random enemy noises that sometimes they make.
But in the sound and music section, we do have to mention the very classic musical pieces in this game. Just fantastic, in my opinion. Fantastic NES music. Super classic, super hummable. I don't really get bored of the music. I think it's fantastic. I'm giving sound and music a 10 out of 10.
I give it a 9. It's really good. It doesn't get boring at all, especially when like you're on the overworld, you don't really hear it. And then you get into the dungeons, and then it plays the music. So it's like half the time you're not getting bombarded with something all the time, and then you get
Half
the
the
noises
time,
like,
not all the
occasionally.
time.
Yeah, like half the time. So it's only half as annoying. So
It works 100% of the time, 40% of the time.
that's right. Yeah, so I enjoyed it too, and it just didn't feel like other games where you're constantly getting the music, and so like after a while it gets super annoying.
Tell me you didn't have that stuck in your head all day after you.
It was
thing. And in a good way. It's not like whoop whoop. That sounds from FF8.
Bump,
Bum, bum, bum.
I'm gonna give.
fucking
I'll give sound and music a 9 as well. Yeah, I think it's pretty great. The main theme is super iconic, very memorable.
So somebody in the chat says dock points for the near death constant sound. Yeah, that is part of why. I mean, when you're near death, it's constantly it's like a fucking siren, like get fucking health.
Well, I think it serves its purpose there. It's like scary, you know.
Has anybody had the dream where like they're in a facility, like a factory, and then their alarm goes off, and like that's the alarm in the factory, where like shit's going down?
No.
'Cause I had one where I was like a scientist in like this white lab coat, and like my alarm started going off in real life, and it was just and then everybody starts like running, and then I was like, oh wait a second, that's my alarm, and I just woke up. I was like, wait, no, this isn't death. This is time to wake up.
This isn't death.
That's what the alarm in this kind of reminds me of. It's those moments like just oh shit. Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah. I think it's iconic enough for a 10 out of 10 for me. And I think everything works perfectly fine, and it's pre-voice acting, so there's nothing to judge in that respect. So I'm good with sound and music. Craig, I'm going to let you do the first score for replayability.
Okay.
Tell me if you would replay this game.
Well, considering I've played it like 3 times now, there is replayability. Although I don't really care for this game. I've given it
Scores would say
I've
otherwise.
given it a good score,
I've
but
seen
I
games
don't.
you don't care for, and I've seen what they look like when you get done with them.
I don't really
Crusty.
crusty.
You had to beat off on it so you didn't kill yourself.
That's the natural response.
I enjoy
Yes.
other Legend of Zelda games better, and I just don't really like agree necessarily with the fact that it's like the greatest game ever, which a lot of people do. That like it's been surpassed many times. And I've been pretty generous, I think, with the because like I wanted to just really ream it because like it's because everybody has like so much nostalgia for it, and then I'm like, no, it's
these
not.
are also people that were from the 80s and they love 80s things, so they're just wrong.
I know, but
They're just wrong. Like 80s movies, oh man, I just can't wait for this 80s movie remake. I'm like, why? I can't remember what it was the other day, but it was some movie from the 80s that I was like, that movie's shit. And like, they're coming out with another one. Like, oh. No. I can't remember what it was.
80s popcorn movies were pretty good. 80s art film was not that great.
But like,
I'm talking American movies.
When I'm looking at like the big
really.
classics from the 80s, like Back to the Future versus like Godfather, like it's not even close.
Yeah.
Like Back to the Future is fun, but it's not.
Well,
It's not fucking awesome. Like
thing-
every other the decades before and after blow the 80s to fucking
the
pieces.
thing that makes 70s movies better than 80s movies, and when we say movies, like the movies that we remember when we
there's-
look back at those decades.
There's tons of shitty movies every
There's
every
tons of
single
shitty
year.
movies every decade.
So many.
The thing is that with the 70s, the big movies were also, they were the dramas, the deep kind of dramas and the interesting independent sort of movies.
Yeah.
Those were the big hits of the 70s until those, of course, a couple of those took over, and then that became the new type of movie. Star Wars, Rocky, Jaws. 80s, though, is when like that was continued and it became this big popcorn entertainment. Here's how you know that the 80s is not as good as either the 70s or the 90s. Look at the Best Picture nominees and tell me which ones are the good ones. for just like get all 30 of those years in a row and then tell me what are the classic movies of those Best Picture nominees.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, you're going to get a lot from the 90s. You're going to get a shitload from the 70s. You're going to get a handful from the 80s.
And that's how I would imagine like gaming and like people that were around then. Like,
Yeah.
and it's
But
something.
then again, I was around from like 2000 to 2008. And I could tell you that's not a great decade for movies. It's not. 2000 to 2010 compared to the 90s, it's not as good.
yeah, so they can't be trusted. These people.
But
that,
I'm saying that was my experience. I don't look back at those decades and be like, that's when movies were good. I'm like, no, that's when they started to do sequel after sequel after sequel.
Isn't that weird though? Like you just these people have this nostalgia for
It's a
something
nostalgia
that's just.
thing, yeah. But it's also like I don't watch anything that's not from the 80s sort of a
That's
point
true.
of view.
Yeah, so they don't know.
So,
anybody.
and honestly, this conversation is really fresh because someone on my Facebook page was like, "Where's all the movies from the '80s in the AFI Top 100?" And I'm like,
they don't have any.
"There's
Because
less movies,
RoboCop deserves to be on there.
That's not an 80s.
and not
movie.
top 100."
Yes, it is.
I think
It's
a
not
good
a
movie,
real
though.
80s movie. It's
Yes,
a
it
70s movie.
No, that's an
No,
80s
it's
movie.
It's an
80s
That's
movie.
definitely an 80s
Wasn't it
movie.
late 80s though?
It just because it's from the 80s doesn't mean
No.
it's not good.
Listen to me.
It's 87.
Kubrick movies.
It's like right in the middle of the 80s.
Kubrick movies are not ever 80s movies. He might have released a movie in the 80s.
He had
but
one
it's a
movie in
70s
the
movie.
80s.
It's not an 80s movie.
That's an 80s movie, dude.
No.
Shining is
I won't
1980.
believe it. It's not. It doesn't matter
It's
if it came
okay.
out in the 80s.
Honestly, one of my favorite movies of all time is Amadeus, and that one's mid 80s. I think it's a fantastic masterpiece of a movie. There's just less masterpiece, amazing movies in the 80s in American cinema
I would say
than there were in the 70s.
I would say that a director that becomes himself before the 80s.
Speaking of Zelda,
cannot possibly
speaking
be,
of.
can't have a movie in the 80s that's considered an 80s movie. It may be from the 80s,
no,
but it is not of the.
absolutely disagree
There's
with
the
you.
essence of the
Schweiss,
80s,
if
and then
it's
there's
in the
technically
80s,
80s.
it is
Technically
80s.
80s. That's it.
Technically 80s, or like the 80s that you
Technically
think of.
80s only.
No,
Yeah.
technically 80s, then yes, but 80s, like when you just mentioned the 80s, and that's what you think of. No. So RoboCop in the 80s,
RoboCop
yes.
is right in the middle
Of the
fucking
80s.
RoboCop.
Okay,
great.
it does have some 80s tropes, like
It's
the weird.
definitely an 80s movie.
Yeah.
the
It's an
weird
80s
like
movie.
costumes and stuff, but it's not like as in your face as like everything else is.
Yeah,
And I guess the other one would be Mad Max, but that one is okay. The third Mad Max is pretty in your fucking face about the 80s Zane.
yeah, a little bit.
All the great,
Damn it.
a lot of the good Spielberg movies are 80s movies too. He's the ruler of the 80s. I'm telling you, there are good movies in the 80s. There's just less good movies in the 90s and the 70s.
Just not as many.
Especially the 70s. And we're talking American film here.
Yeah.
Everybody seems to forget that there's movies in other fucking places, too. That's another big problem I have. Like, 70s movies in other places, not as good. American film hit the peak right there. But 50s movies in other places, while American movies, like 50s in France and in Japan, are fucking amazing for movies. 50s in the United States, or in Hollywood, not great. Not great in comparison to...
Much like
rest of
50s
the
video
world.
games, right? It's terrible.
50s video games, pretty
Cribbage.
new.
Game of Points.
Game of Points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way older than that, but still.
Anyway, there's great movies in the 80s.
Yeah, there are great games in the 80s, too.
There are
Just
great
not as
games in
many.
the 80s. Well, the NES didn't come out to midway through the 80s.
Yeah, it's kind of not fair, but
Um,
what about what about Pong? You know, it's probably a great game. You spent thousands of hours in Pong,
70s.
you know. Yeah, 70s.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway,
It's
replayability,
late
Craig. Sorry for the tangent. I really am. I'm sorry for that one.
Oh, that was Schweiss's fault. So yeah, it does have replay value with the ability to play it on a harder difficulty with like everything spread out and changed up a bit. So I mean, there's that. Like you can add another element of exploration to it because everything's all different, and so I'd give replayability an 8.
8 out of 10 for replayability.
All right.
Schweiss.
I'm gonna give it. I'll give it an 8 too. I'll give it a 7. I'm probably not gonna play the game again.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like it enough to play it.
Yeah, same.
I gave it pretty good scores, but that's kind of deceiving. It's not fun to play necessarily. I do like the idea of like, oh, now I kind of know where most things come from, or like where most things are in the game. So like that would be kind of fun to do a speed run, but the speed run times for this are too sick for me to ever even conceive being up there with those people because I'm just not good enough at the game. I might play it again if I did a series playthrough of the whole Legend of Zelda games, all of them, but I don't know. And there is replay value, so even though I may not play it again, I can see why you would.
Yeah.
And I almost did when I got the second whatever they call it, the second scenario thing. I almost started it up again, but then I was like, no, I need to go to bed. And
Do we
never turned it
know
back on.
if there's any other games before this that had a New Game Plus?
It was a common thing. Yeah, there were a few like
Okay.
around the NES era that had
But this was
that had a New Game Plus hard mode.
okay.
So they were basically following that trope.
Well, this is one of the first NES games, so I'm wondering if they
There
were
are
following
other
a trope.
games. There are other games on the NES and then games on the computer as well that were doing that.
Okay. All right. I'm giving replayability a 10 out of 10, and I only know this because at some point I'm going to play through all the Zelda games, and I know 100% that I will have to replay this game. I also would give it a really high score for replayability anyway. Now, my replayability score is always like, what's the percent chance that I'm going to replay this game again? Pretty much 100% chance. 10 out of 10. Otherwise, I would still, even if I said that I wasn't going to play this game again, because it had the second scenario, because it has so many secrets that you don't necessarily have to have in order to beat the game, like all the hearts and stuff like that, there are still so many.
There's enough to like go back
There's
and try to
enough
find
go
it.
back
Yeah.
for the average player who didn't go through all
It's
that
one
stuff.
thing that I really like older games for is that they always try to make the games about coming back to it and like have a large replay value, like with playing it again, like on like with this the master version or whatever. But then like newer games don't do that as much, and we basically rely on trophies as being the main thing for replayability, which kind of sucks.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought it was fantastic. I guess you can go through the scores here, Schweiss.
All right, so for story, Craig gave it an 8, Joe gave it a 9, I gave it an 8. Gameplay, 7 for Craig, 9 for Joe, 9 for myself. Art design, Craig gave it 8, Joe gave it 10, I gave it a 9. Sound and music, 9 for Craig, 10 for Joe, 9 for myself. Replayability, 8 for Craig, 10 for Joe, and 7 for me. An overall official Nude Clan ranking, or a Nude Clan score of 88 out of 100 for The Legend of Zelda, including my score. It would be up to 86.
Down to
86, sorry, out of 100. And let's see what Metacritic has Legend of Zelda at.
Oh.
It's
probably-
Anybody have any guesses here? 94.
Yeah, it's probably in the 90s. If there is one. I know that they don't have some for some older games.
I guess, yeah, that would be... I don't know. Let me see if I even have it.
He's scrolling. He's scrolling around.
You know, you could also just check Metacritic.com instead of going to Wikipedia and hoping they have it.
There isn't a Metacritic for it. It's got a 7.2 and a 5 out of 5. So that would be 17. That would be about an 85.
So we're about on par.
Yeah, we're about where it's at. According to GameSpot and Allgame, the only two scores that are on the internet for...
that are on the Wikipedia page.
On the Wikipedia page for The Legend of Zelda. If we were to...
I'm going to see if it's on fucking Metacritic.
If we were to look at, the score as per current reviews, it'd probably be more like 100 out of 100 because everybody does blow this game, but they kind of blow the whole series, so it's not.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
mean,
super
the whole
surprising.
series gets a lot of love because it's a fairly solid series, but I would never call this the greatest game of all time. I mean, they're calling it the greatest game of all time simply because of how influential it is, and I don't really believe in that. I believe it should be based entirely off of the game itself and not because of what it did.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a whole other list because, I mean, like, you could argue that Dragon Quest, which came out a few months later, is even more influential because of how much impact it's had on RPGs in general, which RPGs, in turn, have had a massive impact on, like, gaming in
every
general.
other gaming
So,
aspect,
yeah.
it, like, having them tell stories and things like that came from RPGs becoming a big thing, which came from fucking Dragon Quest coming out. So, I mean, like... I don't know. Like as influential as Legend of Zelda is, I don't even know if it's the most influential. So,
Yeah, I agree. I think it's kind of crazy to call this the greatest game that's ever been made. It has many flaws. It has many things that are many gameplay issues where it's not precise enough. The game is. It's kind of like Metal Gear Solid, the first Metal Gear Solid game. Like, it has a lot of that kind of
it
stuff.
has a lot of good stuff, but it hasn't aged well
I don't
in
know.
a way.
The controls haven't aged well, is mostly what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid and Legend of Zelda both, I think, overall aged very well. But and it did do a lot for gaming, but I kind of hate that too. That's like the shoe-in mentality that I hate about like the Oscars, and I hate about all these award ceremonies that we have. Like, well, this year's movie wasn't that great, but the last 20 years of his film have been fantastic, so he wins this year. Like, I hate that idea. I hate the mentality of that. I hate that it caused a lot of good things, so it then thus must be the ultimate thing. Like, no, bad things have caused good things. Like, it's part of the it's part of like the human experience. I don't think this is the greatest game of all time. I don't even think it's the best NES game that I've played. I think I still like Final Fantasy 1 more because, you know what, it's still a fucking RPG, and I like RPGs more than I like adventure games. So suck it. I might like Dragon Quest more too, but I haven't played it.
Dragon
so.
Quest is
Well, I'm the one who
sweet.
gave it the high score. I think it's a great game. I think it's held up really well for a NES game. Certainly can't say the same thing about other NES games I played, except for
that's
for
true.
Super Mario Bros., which I would probably, without having beat it, I would probably give it a 50 out of 50.
Well, there's shit like fucking Excitebike, so I mean, it's
so-
not really a hard competition.
I mean, there's only 700 games on the NES,
Yeah,
but at least in the American NES, yeah, that is the NES because the other one's the Famicom, right?
Yep.
So I can only think of one game on the NES that is better than it for me as of right now.
What's that?
Just Super Mario Bros. That's it.
It's the first one.
Yeah.
Super Mario Bros. 3 is like the best one.
Well, that one's I've played that one a lot less than the original Super. I think they play the same. I can't like.
It's more like the layout of the levels and stuff that adds more.
Just more fun for you, I guess.
Yeah.
All right.
Then like the additional power ups and stuff. So
Yeah, to me, like Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario World, same fucking game. Just looks a little better.
Yeah,
as it
they're
goes
basically the same. It's basically determined by like the way that the levels play and
So,
the power ups.
If I'm judging the game in its time, which is how I like to judge, as I think, this is how I like to approach judging most things, like movies and stuff like that. Like, when you're judging a movie's like special effects or whatever, you just got to go through the filter of what were the other movies around this time, what were the other games around this time, what were they like, and what did this look like in comparison to them. And I would say that this game is fantastic, and I think I think to me it held up pretty darn well, and especially with the save states that they have on the newer systems and the newer versions of the game. That's helpful for a player who is less patient, who is less skilled in the use of the controller in that tappy manner. So yeah, I think it's a great game, and I think it's held up well. I do think it's probably one of the greatest games of all time. Although it's not in my personal top 10. But my range is limited, I will admit. So don't necessarily listen to me when it comes to like my greatest games of all time, because most of them are going to be Final Fantasy and a couple Metal Gear Solid games in there.
Yeah, I can't truly say that Zelda always gets blown either, because there's some not great ones in here.
Zelda 2?
Zelda 2 has a 73. That's not great.
A 73? Who the fuck likes that game?
People do. People like it.
Triforce Heroes also has a 73. Maybe they still blow it a little bit.
Triforce Heroes, I don't really know anything about.
But yeah, Adventure Link and Triforce Heroes, the two lowest rated at 73%. Metacritic.
Right.
And the first one has an 84 for Game Boy Advance on Metacritic. So
Okay, so
that's the closest thing we have.
Pretty close to it. We actually scored a little higher.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, does anybody else have anything they want to share before we head out?
No, I don't have any rants or anything this week.
Okay. Well, that's too bad for the listeners. What's our next vote? I gotta
It's not
find
for
out.
a little bit, I think.
I just have to know. I'm scared, dude. I'm always scared.
Scared that it's you?
Scared that it's me.
I think it's from... No, we just had me and Camcam. I think it's for Camcam and Schweiss.
Are you serious? It's me again?
God,
I'm not
your
sure,
internet
dude.
today, Schweiss, is just not.
All right,
It's not a happy place.
Maybe I can do it faster. Who knows?
Yeah, this is the best. The best part of all podcasts is hearing people look for shit.
Yeah.
online.
As we look at our phones while doing the podcast. Oh, fuck.
Who'd you get a text from?
Nobody.
Okay, I'm clicking the calendar button. I had to go back
I
to
accidentally clicked on forums like a fuck.
4G. Why is that like a fuck? Leave a question.
I'm trying to look at the fucking calendar.
Oh, we're not done,
Okay.
Schweiss. We got a drawing to do.
We do, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we got
We're week
next one
8.
is
No.
week 8, and that
Where-
is Schweiss and me. So
Oh.
we have a forced entry. So it's you and me, Schweiss.
Are you fucking kidding me? It's you and me?
Yep.
Hold on.
God.
Next week it's going to be an interview with Twitch Talks, followed by the Digimon review,
Yeah.
followed by a Caleb Craig week
That'll fucking
with
happen.
with a vote for week 8, which is you and the two Calebs coming together.
Yeah,
So
we
in
got
3
a lot
weeks.
of a lot of forced entries for us.
I know.
What is up with that? Why are you guys so?
We're the popular ones. We also are the only ones who actually play games.
We're the cool kids.
Okay.
And yes, we do play more games.
You guys are brutal with the scores.
Although this year, we're not doing that great, but that's because we're bombarded.
Were you bombarded with RPGs?
All right. So this next person's going to win a game. We
Yep.
are now officially out of Horizon Zero Dawns.
Yes, we are. We have a Persona 5, but it's already sold. You're not giving yours away.
So
right,
just
Caleb?
just say the word. We're out of Persona 5s as
We're out
well.
of Persona 5s.
I'm gonna have a Digimon for you if
What
you
fuck
want
else
it.
do we have left?
Yeah, I'm not going to keep... Actually, I'm not going to give Digimon away. I'm going to destroy it. But
Well, I'm gonna give mine.
You gotta
away.
give me $30 first.
I'll put South Park up there.
Okay, sweet. And then there's a big list of
Big
games.
list of shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Craig, you want to take it away?
All right.
All right, we've shuffled it. I'm satisfied with the shuffle job. I'm satisfied with Craig's additional shuffling. What is the number?
We got 15. A number that has never been pulled before.
Hey!
Jim Lee, good man, Jim Lee. This guy has given us way too much money for way too many projects over the years.
Yeah, he pretty much
He pretty much
financed
paid for
Emmanuel's
Emmanuel's
song, so
song,
I
yeah.
appreciate that.
Jim Lee, let us know what you want, man. Tell us what game off the list you want to keep. You can find the list on nudeclan.net. Go to the forums, just type in giveaway games, and it'll pull up a big old list. And
Give
we
away
have a
one
couple-
word or 2 words.
It'll pull it up either way. And let us know what you want. I've got, let's see, what other games do I have that I guess I haven't really bought any new PS4 games. I've been stuck in the
Well, you
old
have
days.
that rule that you can only beat the games that you play, and you haven't bought anything. So
Yeah.
You can only beat the games that
They
you play.
beat
Is
the games
rule,
that he
huh?
buys.
That is a good point. I can only beat the games that I can play. Because if I can't play them, I
beat
can't beat them.
yeah, whatever I said. So
Yeah.
Congrats, Jim Lee. Thank you very much for your support.
I'll throw, you know what? South Park will be a 2-pack. You can have my Stick of Truth and my
Wow.
Fractured Butthole.
Wow.
Because we have copies of it, so I don't
Cool.
give a shit.
Do we have any new patron donors?
We do. Huge shout out and huge thank you to Rishab Sinha, Stephen Huffman, and Jenny for your recent pledges. Thank you guys so much. The money goes to good use, and of course, next month you guys will be put in the drawing. This drawing was for last month. We forgot,
Put it
/
off
kept
forever.
putting it off. Yeah, so we're gonna get that out. We owe our good friend, guy who wins everything, Richard, a copy of Persona 5. We'll have to get Cameron to send that out since he didn't show up this week.
right.
But yeah, other than that, guys, check us out at twitch.tv/nudeclangaming. We're going to be streaming a lot of that fucking Digimon, and I'm hopefully we'll get Cameron to stream a bit of it too. We can all kind of suffer together for that thing. I am going to be streaming. I'll probably be streaming that Paper Mario before Joe will. But that won't be for a couple weeks. I think I'm going to last minute beat that Digimon. But you can go there. You can become a patron
God
at
damn it.
twitch.tv, or not Twitch, sorry, Jesus.
Well, you could
Patreon.com/nudeclan.
if you subscribe to the Twitch.
If you have Amazon Prime, you can sub to the Twitch. We're working on getting little emoticons with each of our faces. Working on
a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that Joe and I need to tackle. That's one of them, and we'll have those up hopefully in the next couple weeks. We got to get them submitted. They need to get approved. But first we have to make them, so there's that. But that'll be a lot of fun. You can go there to support us. Go through our Amazon link. Anything you buy on Amazon, get a small kickback. Doesn't cost you a thing. If you guys have drone jobs like myself, Audible is a great way to get through the long hours. So you can go support us there at audibletrial.com/nudeclan. I think I might have to up my Audible shit because one is
Not enough.
one is not quite
Welcome.
enough. Yeah.
You're
Sucks.
in now.
It sucks that it's not enough because and now I got one that was a 10-hour book and I felt dirty doing that.
Yeah,
I was
dude,
like,
I'm
it's
telling
not-
you, get the fucking Sherlock Holmes.
not long
70
enough.
hours and multiple books.
it's
You have to
not
like
long
Sherlock
enough.
Holmes enough to go
Sherlock
through
Holmes is
so-
great. It's great.
It's all right.
It's great. Fuck you.
Yeah, we got a PayPal link if you want to donate directly. That's fine too. Yeah, go check out the forums. Ask us questions. Get your hog in because hog is going to be next week.
Well, Hog is continuous now.
Yeah,
Just
Hog
be
in.
on update. You don't
Yeah,
have to do this.
Go to the Hogib.
I say get it in, but I just mean keep getting it in.
Yeah,
like
just
you have
update it.
Yeah.
Also, guys, leave us an iTunes review because we got that Tomb Raider Cradle of Life to give away.
That is true. Yeah. Oh, we'll give you one more week for that too, since I forgot about that.
Okay.
really, really shitty at that these days. But yeah, give us your review. Still eligible to win that. It's actually the 2-pack. Okay, so you get the first.
So you get
Tomb
both.
Raider and
so
the
you
second
get
Tomb
you
Raider.
get a decent Tomb Raider,
Blu-rays,
and
both
then
Blu-rays,
Nice.
and then a really bad one.
yeah.
So yes, guys, thank you for hanging out with us.
He's at Caleb Schweiss.
Oh, yeah.
I am at Joseph.
I'm at
DeGollier.
not
UFF
at Caleb
Podcast.
Schweiss.
Oh, I'm sorry. What are you at?
At UFF Podcast.
I'm at Joseph DeGollier.
I'm at Obsidian Bar.
I'm at Nude Clan Cam.
God, that guy's fucking
And
Twitter handle.
You can follow the podcast itself at Nude Clan Podcast on Twitter.
Yep.
Now we'll see you guys next week.
Enjoy the nude.
What's going on?
Live always in the nude.
Fuck off. Fuck off.
Fuck on.